1,000 last year, and I'm expecting, I know, and I'm like,
All right, here we are. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this fantastic regular meeting of the City Council of Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Thank you so much for being here this evening and taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us tonight. If you do have a cell phone, if you could please put it on vibrate or silence that electronic device, it will help with the proceedings of this meeting as well. I would also first like to call up our Troop 544 Scouts here to the front. If we could get the Troop 544 to the front. Come on up here, Troop. Come on right up here to the front, right by us. And then what we're going to do is we're all going to rise for an invocation from Pastor Bill Elwell from the First United Methodist Church. And then the troop will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you're able, please stand with us. And Pastor, if you can make your way in there.
Let us pray. Eternal God, on this day when we gather with city leaders, our council, and our mayor, and city staff, we're grateful we live in this community where people have good hearts, where they raise their children to be good citizens, to be educated in our schools, to purchase from our merchants, and to go to places that people have invested their hard earnings for the commerce of this city. We give thanks for those who watch over us while we sleep. And with great respect, we move over for police cars and ambulances because they are our brothers and sisters who may be in those vehicles. We pray for those who live among us and fly over us and bring themselves to our community to make us stronger and defend us. And this week we remember those of our citizens who have left this great shore of ours and have gone off to distant places and never returned, but lie in cemeteries often around the world. And we remember them and we give thanks to you. Bless us and grant us all your wisdom and grace for each other and love of our neighbor, so that we can be the kind of people you would want us to be. By your divine inspiration, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job, guys. Guys and gals. And then I believe Chief Beige.
Yes, sir.
You have a presentation to make, sir.
No. I need Miles and Aiden up here, my youth leaders.
Okay, they can come on up, they can step forward.
You guys. You face the crowd.
Yeah, we're gonna stand like right here, so when you can stand up there. Generally, we don't get groups this big, so it's a little bit of a logistical issue. So on April 8th, we had an 11-year-old endangered juvenile that went missing in the Ferry Park area off Yacht Club. And the police department initially responded out, and we started our search, and we came across Mr. Kennedy that was starting his Boy Scout troop meeting for the night. And we informed him of what we were looking for. We gave a brief description of the child. And it was early April, so that evening it was probably going to get down in the 50s. The child was barely clothed and had some other issues that we wanted to find him as quickly as possible. So they called a timeout on an audible at their Boy Scout meeting and immediately joined the search with the police department. So it was the Fort Walton Beach Police Department, the Sheriff's Office, the Boy Scouts, and some other groups also came out to help search. We probably had about 100 people that were searching the area around Ferry Park and around Elliott Point. And within a short period of time, the Boy Scouts actually located the missing child. Some of the Boy Scouts knew the child, were calling out for him, were able to, I guess, maybe build his confidence. They found him hiding behind some bushes, immediately called the police department, and without further incident, we were able to recover the child and return him back home to his family safe and sound. And this just goes to show the level of community involvement here in Fort Walton Beach. Even though the police department are the only paid members of the community, the responsibility for the safety and welfare of the community is shared across the community as a whole. And today we'd like to commend the Boy Scouts and Troop 544 for going above and beyond and assisting us in locating the missing juvenile. So with that, I'd like to present you this plaque on behalf of the police department. And congratulate you both for leading the search and finding the missing child. Thank you.
I had a bit of a request to squeeze you guys in for a group picture, so my 6 smallest guys in the very background and my little guys come up front. I mean, Jackson and Ray. Good job, True.
We'd be glad to.
Thank goodness I'm up here. I can be taller than someone.
My other all want to do it. You're as important to this as I am. You may have to kneel, so come on in.
Get in behind you.
Anyone else want to come up here and get a shot while they're all together?
Get them while you can. Get closer to the podium. We got some moms and dads in here on that.
Again, the good side, Ray.
Everybody be comfortable. There's one more. Awesome. Thank you all so much.
My mistakes, or if you go work one of their badge to sit in.
Absolutely.
And where can they sit?
Well,
Stand maybe?
there might be some more room here in just about 15 minutes or so once some other people clear out. So if they would like to sit outside, you can still hear the meeting, and then they can probably come in once some other folks clear out.
Thank you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, we need your number 4.
All right, well, they're clear now. We do need a motion for approval of the agenda from the council.
So moved.
Second.
A motion by Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilman DeBerry for approval of the agenda. Any other comments? Yes. Oh, okay. Okay. We can do that during the consent agenda. Yeah. We'll do that. Any further comments on the agenda? Seeing none, please vote. The agenda does pass 7-0. That moves us on to our Student ACE Awards. If we could have our Student ACE Awards and their parents come up to the front as well. Shelby Welch, Matthew Sinclair, Cyril, I don't want to mispronounce the last name. What's this? Laser. Gotcha. I almost said laser, and that would have been wrong. And Ryan Fikes. If y'all come up and please don't be shy about bringing any family members that you have here with you as well. And if you can grab a microphone, first one will be Shelby Welch from Choctaw High School. Shelby is Choctaw's High School ACE Award recipient for the month of April, so we're a little late. Sorry, Shelby, about that. She has a weighted GPA of 4.58 and is ranked 10th in her class. Shelby's a student of the Dual Enrollment International Baccalaureate. Which one is it?
Baccalaureate.
See? That's that 458. That's that 458. Advanced Placement and Honors Program. She's received academic awards including the A&T Mitchell Award, a 3-time Indian Scholar Award winner, and National Honor Society status. Shelby's extracurriculars include being a member of the National Honor Society, Science Honor Club Spirit Coordinator, Student-to-Student Spirit Coordinator, and Mako Barbell Club, where she was a 6th runner-up in the USA Weightlifting National Championship. Good Lord. Shelby's athletic achievements include being on the varsity and JV softball teams as an underclassman and the current captain of the varsity Olympic weightlifting team, where she has become a state, regional, and district champion. Shelby's given back to her school and community through the school sign painting, being a class officer, spirit coordinator, and participating in church youth groups and ministries. Congratulations, Shelby. We look forward to your future achievements, and please tell everyone what you plan on doing past high school.
Thank you. I have been accepted to the University of Georgia. I plan on, go Dogs. I plan on participating in something called the Double Dog program, where I receive my bachelor's and my master's in international business at the same time. I also hope to get a minor in Spanish and do some studying abroad.
Fantastic. That's really So we have this award for you, and if you wouldn't mind just staying up there for a couple more minutes here, wherever you were standing before, and then I'll come down and get a quick photo with all y'all before we let you go. Matthew Sinclair. Matthew, is that you right there?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Matthew is Fort Walton Beach High School's ACE Award recipient for the month of April, a GPA of 4.60. A student of the AP and AICE programs. What's AICE?
ACE.
All right. Yeah. Keep your secrets. That's fair. Matthew's extracurriculars include being on the JV and varsity football teams and the varsity captain of the wrestling team, where he was a 3-time district champ, 4-time region qualifier, 2-time state qualifier, and 1-time state runner-up. His accomplishments consist of being a 3-time Viking Scholar, National Society of High School Scholars member, recognitions for the National African American Award, and invitations to national leadership and Envision engineering camps. Matthew's work experience includes starting a mobile car detailing business. I didn't know that. We could have had a deal here. This is incredible. A math tutor and mentor, part-time working busing tables, cleaning condos, and mowing lawns. The guy never stops. His volunteer work comprises fitting and giving out helmets to those in need, supplying meals to the homeless, sporting event logistics, assisting with the Stop the Bleed training program. You got too many qualifications, man. You're a really awesome dude. Congratulations on this award. What do you plan on doing after school?
I have been accepted to the University of Central Florida, and I'm going to major in aerospace engineering.
Nice, man. Congratulations. Just want to make sure it says your name in there. Got to be that one. Thank you, sir. All right, next up, Cyril Leeser.
Yes.
Cyril. Choctaw High School's ACE Award recipient for the month of May, a weighted GPA of 4.56, making her summa cum laude with SAT scores of 1170. Good gosh, and is ranked 11th in her class. Cyril is a student of the International Baccalaureate and Advanced Placement programs. She's received academic awards including the AP Scholar Award, 3 Indian Scholar Awards, and Art Show first place from the Mattie Kelly Arts Foundation. Cyril's extracurriculars include being a member of the National Honor Society, Language Honor, Science Honor, and Fellowship of Christian Athletes Organization. Athletic achievements include being a member of the tennis and weightlifting teams while aiding the swim team. Cyril has volunteered at her school and in her community, providing her artistic talents to organizations such as the Emerald Coast Science Center, Boys and Girls Club of the Emerald Coast. Cyril's work experience consists of hospitality in the food service industry for Olive Garden and AJ's Beach Club. Oh, I'm sorry, Owl's Beach Club. My bad, I was close.
It's okay.
Congratulations, Cyril. We look forward to your future achievements as well. And where will your studies be taking you?
I plan to attend the University of West Florida and major in biology and hopefully becoming an orthodontist in the future.
Fantastic. That's really awesome. Thank you. All right. And last but certainly not least, Ryan Bikes. Thanks for being here, man. Ryan is Fort Walton Beach High School's ACE Award recipient for the month of May. A GPA of 4.60, ranked 9th in his class. Ryan's extracurriculars include being on the JV and varsity tennis team, where he's participated in tournaments in Shalimar, Navarre, Gulf Breeze, Destin, Fairhope, Fort Walton Beach, and many others, becoming a Shalimar Point Tennis Center finalist. His academic honors consist of being a 3-time Viking Scholar, an AP Scholar, an Auntie Mitchell Academic Award winner, and a President's Award in Educational Excellence winner. Ryan's volunteer work consists of helping with the Salvation Army to run the food pantry. What a great organization to volunteer your time for. Clothing and household items, activities at the Fort Walton Beach Regional Center. He's a member of the Beta Club robotics team, leadership team, and the Legacy Craftsman Camp, which is a STEM apprentice program sponsored by the Air Force Research Lab. Ryan's skills and certifications include HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Microsoft products, Adobe products, 3D modeling, and soldering. So you could hack our computers, basically. That's what you're getting at. All right, fair enough. Congratulations, Ryan, on your achievements, and please do tell us where you will be continuing your studies, sir.
I plan on going to FSU Panama City and majoring in electrical engineering.
Nice. Congratulations, man. I'm going to come down and get a quick picture with you guys, if that's okay. I do feel very unqualified for this picture, but we'll do it. You know, squeeze in here.
Okay. Right up here. All right, thank you.
Kim, who's doing the that's you? Yeah, that's you? Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Reeves. If we could now get Christina Custom Art. I know your name's not Christina Custom Art.
So glad to hear. I was proud enough to be part of the Downtown Design Committee, selecting the sign. And I'm so glad Christina won it because we had a lot of people submit AI artwork. And I think Christina's looked really good, and we're so glad to be able to give her $5,000 of our CRA money and funds for her efforts. And we appreciate her help.
Thanks.
Congratulations.
We'll send you your real pen.
All right, and then last but not least here on recognitions, Chief Beige, I believe you have a few or one that you would like to recognize, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So I have Tyler Williams, who's the officer of our first quarter. So Tyler Williams, if you can please come forward. So Officer Williams is one of our, probably all our officers are top officers, but he's one of the top officers we have in the Fort Walton Beach Police Department. And in the first quarter, he went to a medical call for an overdose, I believe it was?
It was a bailed out unknown
Okay.
situation.
And he immediately, with other officers, one of them, Kylie, who is here, assessed the scene, Officer McEwen-Gold, but Officer Williams performed CPR, and his CPR was so good, I believe, when EMS and fire rescue got there, he continued to do the CPR and did CPR for an extended period of time until the person was actually loaded and taken to the hospital. And when the person arrived at the hospital, the staff of the hospital said that the life-saving measures that were taken on the scene by the officers, in particular by Officer Williams, was one of the reasons the male was able to survive at the hospital. So Tyler, for that, we'd like to congratulate you and award you first quarter officer.
I just want to thank you for this award. Thank you for my, to my family for the love and support. Like I said, my wife there, she played an excellent role in everything that day as well, and just leadership, and I'm grateful to be here.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chief. Always love to hear those stories. We do have now item 6, a presentation here for a proposed Bridgeway Center redevelopment at 205 Shell Avenue. We stole the microphone, though. We got to get that back.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Mark Steiner. I'm the president of Choctaw Engineering. We are the agent for the applicant, which is the Bridgeway Center, Inc. I'm here to speak on the project as an informational setting here, because at the request of the staff. The project that we're here to discuss is the Bridges to Hope Transitional Housing Project. The purpose of the project is to construct a new facility for persons seeking additional support to maintain a substance-free life. The project's located at 205 Shell Avenue, Fort Walton Beach, where Bridgeway Center's current facilities are located. A little history on the project. In July of 2023, a legislative budget request in the amount of $850,000 was approved for the Bridges to Hope Transitional Housing Project. This project was supported by Representatives Pat Maney and Senator Doug Broxton. The original plan for the project was to renovate an existing 4,100 square foot building on the existing property. In November 2023, building plans for the renovation were submitted to the city, and a building permit was issued for the renovation in January 2024, and project began construction. In March of 2024, construction was stopped due to unforeseen structural problems with the building and moisture problems. As a result, in May of 2024, the building was demolished. Bridgeway Center decided then to move forward with the construction of a new building in the same footprint as the old building. In January 2025, the design team met with the city in a pre-application meeting. Plans were then prepared for a 3,580 square foot, 2-story building to be constructed in the same footprint as the existing building that was demolished. The proposed building will consist of 8 bedrooms, a kitchen, dining room, living room, library, and will house up to 11 people. An expedited development order was submitted to the city in March of 2025. The city has reviewed the plans. Comments were issued to us in April 2025. Earlier this month, we revised the plans and resubmitted the plans to the city. We are currently waiting to hear back on the review of the revised plans. So we are just eagerly waiting to get that development order so we can begin construction of this project, so Bridgeway Center can continue to provide much needed services to the residents of the city of Fort Walton Beach and Okaloosa County. And hopefully that gets you up to speed as to the status of the project.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
We'll just have very briefly ask a couple questions. Councilman Schmidt?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor. What in this project qualifies it to go to the expedited development order?
Do we have one from staff that wants to take that one on?
Well, as you know, our growth management and development services are at a convention this week that is important to them. From what I understand, we really need to rely on them for the information. I know that its conditional use is met. I'm sure Mr. Steiner knows that. And what it does is it really primarily keeps you guys from having to review each project. If it's a conditional use on that, they're really here because, you guys had some concerns over wanted to know more about what they were doing. I think Mr. Steiner's answered those questions. So it really depends on, if you have any more detailed questions about the scope of the project.
And we're certainly not taking any action here today.
Right.
Correct?
It was just a presentation. I think you guys wanted to get some direction on how many units and who,
If you want me to, I can answer that question.
Sure.
Section 9.0101 of the Land Development Code says that major developments are the proposed developments where the building heights are proposed to exceed the height limits established by Eglin Air Force Base Tall Structures Analysis for the city of Fort Walton Beach. Proposed development subject to a development agreement, and proposed developments in a PUD. Expedited developments shall include all development orders other than those described in the aforementioned section. And the expedited development orders decision-making is given to the staff.
For sure. Can I ask a follow-up to that, Mr. Mayor?
Sure, please.
With this kind of project, I know you're just but you're the agent for the developer, and also the plans that were submitted in the agenda packet from Choctaw Engineering, and that's all we got in the agenda packet, which I appreciate the site plans. But so the question's kind of more of not so much the specifics of the item, but just more with our strategic plan. Why would we advise going through the expedited development order process instead of bringing it in front of the board for a DO approval?
That is a DO approval.
By the board, though, not through the expedited development.
Okay, well, let's back up here. Okay. I'm here to present information on the project. I can't help you with your decisions. The development.
Is Bridgeway?
No, because believe me, the people at Ridgeway don't. I am here because I am the expert on the development order and plan process. Okay. The process that you have is your process in your land development code, which has been approved by the city council or previous city council. So I don't want to seem argumentative, but I'm just saying that that's not a decision. That's already this is your process we're following.
Correct, and there's that tool in place to go that route. But this is a very big project inside of our downtown master plan that could cause some issues within the community based off the scope. So I'm just coming from that angle, and I appreciate you answering my question, so thank you.
Councilman Jeter.
So on page 4, two-story, 3,580 square foot, transitional housing building. What is transitional housing?
It's a place for people who need supportive services from Ridgeway to reside.
Is transitional housing listed specifically in our land development code, Ms. Kim?
No, it is not listed specifically. If Mr. Forsetti was here, he would advise you, I believe, based on his conversations with me, that staff has found a use that they have deemed similar, and so that's why they are of the opinion it should go through the expedited process.
And when I read that sign, I heard that too, but it's plain as day right here. It says transitional housing. So I understand you're just a civil engineer on the project, and we can't take action tonight. You're in the nuts and bolts of it, but I'm with Councilman Schmidt. It seems to be counterintuitive against everything we've tried to do in this area of First Street specifically. We just cleaned up sleeping on the porches. We've certainly tried to clean up the church that was down here. We are certainly trying to eliminate some feeding and Catholic charity issues. So it seems that up here as a board, and I know our staff members are not here to comment on tonight, but up here behind this board for many, many years, we have been trying to get away from this type of project and this type of atmosphere in downtown, where if around the mound happens, hundreds of millions of dollars. The bridge is hundreds of millions of dollars. There's a 7-acre, pretty large parcel that's probably going to be developed that'll be, X amount of dollars. But we're dumping $500 billion in our downtown over the next 5 or 10 years, and just seeing developments that say transitional housing, I think, go against what we're trying to do up here as a board. Now, again, that's not to you. That's just the verbiage that's used on here. That verbiage is not on our LDC. We can't take action tonight. I have a lot more questions as to if, how, and when this moves forward.
Anyone else with a question? Mr. Berry.
There's a Ms. Marlowe, Bridgeway, and she may be able to respond to the definition of transitional housing.
Wait, here, I'm just wanting to just clarify something. This is here for informational purposes on this project. Now, the project's already been submitted to staff. Staff has already, we had a pre-application meeting. We proposed, told them exactly what we're doing. The staff has already determined that, you know, this is allowed use in this project, and we haven't received any comments to the contrary. When you're talking about residential uses in the city of Fort Walton Beach, the MX1 zoning category allows every type of residential use in it that you have. Specifically, there's an allowance for a medical facility for recovery or rehabilitation services, including substance abuse center, physical or mental rehabilitation, overnight stays. So I think that clearly says that you're allowed to have people that the Bridgeway Center specifically addresses, allowed to have them have an overnight stay. And like I said, every single type of residential use that you can have in the city of Fort Walton Beach is covered under the MX1 zoning category. So I think it's an appropriate use for this zoning category.
I understand that. I was hoping that Ms. Barlow would be able to, and I appreciate your presentation, so I'm not, if you don't want her to speak, that's fine. I'm familiar with what you're saying, MX1, and what you just, and I appreciate that to let all of us know. I think what our concern here is that we don't want people sleeping on the streets and on the whatever, and she has an answer, because I've discussed this with her.
Well, I think
so it's beyond your scope of
well, not necessarily, because I think the whole concept of providing a building which people can then reside in there to eliminate people from sleeping outside of a structure. So the more places that we can provide that provide a place for people to reside is the exact opposite of providing a place for homelessness. So
well, I understand that. You're the engineering part of the project, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, you're not the company that is going to be providing the services, correct?
No, that is correct.
Okay, that's what I was trying to clarify.
I understand that. What I'm saying, though, is the fact that we're trying to work within the confines of your land development code, and your land development code allows for this use. So you asked for us to come talk about the project specifically in terms of the building we're building, what we're going to use it for, and the fact that it meets your land development code.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Walker.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. So why are you here? Did we ask you to come make a presentation?
Yeah, I was contacted by staff, and staff asked if we would come present the project, which is kind of unusual because in all the 27 years I've been doing this, I've never been asked to come to speak before City Council on a project for an expedited development order.
Mayor, I think I can lend a little bit of light to
Please
that.
do.
I think when the sign went up on the property down on First Street, I think some of you wanted a little bit more information because, frankly, I think it doesn't have anything to do with Mr. Siner, but I think that we monitor what goes on with that particular property, and I think these gentlemen and ladies that sit up here are concerned about what happens there. And in reviewing that, I think they were concerned because they had heard several different things, political, rumors and whatnot, but the possibility of an 83-bed facility was tossed around, and I think that was concerning for you on such a small parcel directly in that area. I think staff was alerted and legal got involved a little bit on some opinions on what, then because it came to what you were speaking to, Mr. Siner, about the uses, the conditional use that in your land development code doesn't require them to come before you to make those determinations. So it turned into more of a presentation. That's why you're here actually speaking, because it was questioned, some of you questioned it, and we wanted to give you some clarification. And I think Mr. Siner has helped us with some of that. He said maybe 11 residential units there possibly, and then the remainder, I don't know, we'll go somewhere else. But we did hear that there was more people that were going to be in that particular facility is what I think raised the big alarm was that. But I mean, that was how we got to this point.
Great, thank you. Just out of curiosity for us all, and maybe even for you, will this project fall under the recently passed short-term rental? Are they renting there? Or do they pay a fee to be there in those rooms overnight?
Not that I'm aware of, but they're providing support services for the clients they have.
Yeah, so maybe that is something, if the client is the client here that could answer that question, if those residents actually pay to stay in the rooms? Is there a fee, either insurance or otherwise? I'm just trying to see if it's going to fall under, we just recently had a short term, and these are going to be short term, it sounds like, and, I don't know what type, we've restricted the activities in short term and increased the requirements of inspections and some other signage and some stuff like that.
Councilman, I could certainly answer that question. It would not fall under the short-term rental policy the same way a hospital would not fall under a short-term rental.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And that's, Ms. Cobb, is that about generally right? It would not fall under your
I
opinion?
don't know any of the facts of the project. I was waiting to hear the details, actually, so.
Yeah, no, this is not intended to be like a rental, like as an apartment building or something like that. This is providing medical facilities to people who have substance abuse problems. That's it.
Okay. Well, you said 11 rooms, a kitchen, transition housing.
8 rooms and 11, a total of 11 occupants.
11 occupants. But transition housing definitely falls in the housing category, not the medical. I mean, you were the one that said this is housing, it's not a medical facility. You didn't fall under the medical facility carve out. You fell under some form of housing. But, and again, I don't know if they're renting or paying there, and that's why I was asking if the client could answer that question.
We don't need to, Ms. Barlow, you don't need to answer the question. We understand it's not a short-term rental. We understand.
Well, we don't.
That was the question, correct?
Ms. Cobb doesn't, she was waiting on the response too. I'm waiting on the response.
And Payne, I appreciate your input and stuff like that, but I think we've demonstrated that we've submitted the plans to the staff, and there's been no determination that there's any code issue in that regard.
That's the first time, other than it being on here, and I'm just curious if it's going to fall under that, and you don't seem interested if it is going to fall under it. She seems to think that there maybe some more light should be shed on it, so I know it's an interesting that you're even here.
You're more than welcome to present that to staff, and we'll let them make that determination.
Ms. Barlow, if you wouldn't mind.
I'm sure Ms. Barlow would
I think
love
you
to
could
come up here
probably
and
clear it up
speak to
for us
you
more quickly
about the Bridgeway Center, because she is
great.
She is the Bridgeway Center, and she's very proud. And I'll just let you know that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so it's very appropriate that we are meeting at this meeting. Thank you, Mr. Steiner.
Well, thank you for this opportunity to come and present to you guys about the Bridges to Hope housing project. You've already been given the background for it, but the purpose of this house is for people seeking additional support to maintain a substance-free life. And the goal is to support individuals in maintaining sobriety and rebuilding their lives after substance addiction. There will be specific rules about maintaining complete abstinence and require participation in recovery-related activities. It's going to be a respite house for people in the continuum of care to come so they don't go right back into the environment they've just gotten out of, to continue support for recovery. These folks will be screened, they'll be staffed, and there are eligibility requirements for them to participate. Number one is an abstinence-free lifestyle. If you're familiar with Oxford House, and there are 2 of those here in Fort Walton Beach, it's a peer community. And there are house rules. And the reason why it's at Shell is because we have staff there. We have therapeutic staff and services and support there 24/7 to further encourage and be there when somebody is getting triggered or when somebody is in danger of relapse. They can go to our staff right there and take care of whatever issue they're working on, because a stay in detox or even 28 days in a residential program is not enough time to change everything that you've been going through your whole life. So it is a very structured program, and it's a self-supporting program. They have to work, they have to clean up after themselves, they have to buy their own food, because it is teaching them to be responsible citizens for Fort Walton Beach. And it is, again, being closely monitored. We have cameras all over that facility that we have now. And so we are, and again, it is the next step. We already provide detox services, outpatient substance abuse, intensive outpatient services. So it is, again, a place of recovery. And that's what it was designed to be, and that's what we had hoped to salvage the old building to be. And so that is, these folks could go back to the environments where they came from, but it will be voluntary and it will be staffed and it will be screened to make sure that they are ready for the program. And they have to sign an agreement to adhere to all the rules. So it's another tool for us to help people on their path of recovery. My job is to advocate for those who need behavioral health services, and that's why I'm here today. And I hope that that answers your questions or your concerns. It is, we run a business down there. My office is right there. We work very hard to make it something that the city can be proud of. And that building will be beautiful. It will make that corner look great. And I think that that's something that will be monitored. And I understand your concerns about what we're doing. I support what you're doing with the downtown. My goodness, I support that. But I hope that sheds some light on these 11 people that will be there to further their recovery.
Thank you, Ms. Barlow. We'll first go to Ms. Riley and then Mr. Jeter.
Thank you, Ms. Bobby.
Yes.
First and foremost, I want to thank you for the works that you all do at Bridgeway Center. And I truly understand. I've been privy to work with, with families that are in distress, with loved ones who are substance abuse users, mental health issues, et cetera, et cetera. So I do want to thank you all for the works that you do, and I truly understand. And thank you, sir, for presenting and letting us know on the diocese, your goals on your building and your development in order that you've submitted. So I truly don't have any questions. I understand transitional housing. This is somewhat a part of my life's work. So I appreciate what you all do, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Riley. Mr. Jeter.
Ms. Bonnie.
Yes, sir.
You have a heart bigger than this room. I get it, and you and I have met many a times, and we have agreed to disagree from different experiences that we've had in life, but it has nothing to do with sometimes this is just business that affects the city and the taxpayers that we got to answer for. I know what you do is great for some people, and you and I have had the discussion of the difference in homeless and vagrants and how that affects certain things. We'll get to a few questions here. We see transitional housing on here.
Yes, sir.
And then we heard everything's allowed in residential, it's an expedited development order, but then we also heard it's pretty much a medical facility. I don't think a medical facility would be allowed in residential use. So I don't want to keep going down the road of researching some of this. I just want to know from our side, this contradicts everything that we're trying to do in downtown. And I know that you're saying it's going to be nice and it's going to be great and it's going to be clean, but your same company runs One Hopeful Place, correct?
Yes, sir. We operate that facility. Yes, sir.
I would advise everybody to drive out to One Hopeful Place and drive through it and see it. Not in a bad way, but just so that we can see what we're talking about. Because One Hopeful Place is supposed to now have a job and pay rent and do all those same type of things you just described, correct?
Yes, sir. And the difference with this is that these people will be screened. They will have already gone through detox or outpatient therapy or a residential treatment program. It'll be 100% abstinent. And it's only 11, whereas at One Hopeful Place, of course, they have 67 people housed.
And I hope I'm wrong. I hope if it ever does get completed, that we ride by there and it's beautiful, I'll be the first one to tell you I was wrong. I just have a feeling that it's going to be the same thing that we're trying to eliminate the blight down there, from the sleeping on the porch to all the things we just described. So the second question is, what would you say, First Street being an issue, from every officer on our police department that tells us First Street is an issue, what would you say, if we're wrong about your project, what is the next thing that we can do as a board up here to eliminate the blight and the vagrancy on First Street? I know you're helping the homeless, and there's a difference there, but I'm talking about the vagrants that throw trash on our street. What can we do to eliminate the vagrants and the blight on First Street?
Well, I think you guys have done a lot already by the ordinance about not letting people hang out on public sidewalks or in public places, and I can see a difference in that. And one thing that really draws folks, as we have talked about in the past, Bryce, is Catholic Charities on Wednesdays and Fridays. And they have a passion to give out their lunches and their food drives. And that does bring a lot of folks there.
And you and I have discussed the option of going to them and trying to present them a facility out at One Hopeful Place to be able to do that, to get it off of First Street. And would you agree that that was the reason, and I know Mr. Ted's not in here tonight, but the reason for One Hopeful Place many, many years ago was for it to be the magnet or the vacuum or the whatever you want to call it that allowed that type of activity to be centralized in one place and not where we're getting ready to spend $500 billion.
That's what
that was created for.
Yes, sir.
So let me ask you this, is there anything, because we can come in here and say what all we think it's going to be forever, but I would be willing to bet there's a lot of NIMBYs in this room that if the city was going to say, you know what, we'll buy a piece of property right next to your piece of property and let this building get built, I bet you they wouldn't like it too much either. They'd say, no, I don't want that next to me. No, I don't want that across the street from me. So eventually, we have to take a hard line and do our best to try to do that for our entire downtown. So if we were to come up with some kind of, and I don't know what we can going forward, if Ms. Kopp could come up with some kind of creative way to incentivize. We already have this. Many years ago, y'all came in here and said we wanted everything at One Hopeful Place. We wanted it centralized, right? We wanted everything all in one place where we could feed them, where we could help them, where we could, a driver's license service or something like that. Would it not benefit to, what if the city were to say, you know what, and this is coming from me, that's anti a lot of this. What if I were to support something to say, we'll allow a structure like that to be built out there? Because that's what we're trying to do, not this.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Duda, I appreciate where you're going with this and everything, and this is a large subject that the city needs to address, but we're not here for that this evening. We're here to address this particular project. If you want to take up this cause and everything like that sometime, please feel free.
I ran for that, and I'm here for 4 years, so it's part of my duties every single day to do my best job.
That's fine. I understand that. Like I said, and I've heard every story in the book at these meetings in terms of all the projects I've been doing for the last almost 30 years now. And all I'm just going to say is we were here in good faith to basically present this project to the staff, or the staff asked us to present it to the city council, and that's what we've done. And I don't necessarily want to stop you from your discussion, whatever, but at this particular time, I don't think that we're trying to compare projects or what you're trying to do or what the overall objective of the city is. We're just basically trying to stick to the facts of this particular project.
And I appreciate you presenting, but I'm trying to achieve the #1 goal of the city of Fort Walton Beach, which has been vagrancy for the last quite a few years.
And that's
so the #1 goal is what I'm trying to achieve.
And Bridgeway Center is probably one of the best advocates to help you with that. And we're trying to provide a project that will help the whole community in that regard. And that's what we're here for. And that's where we said we presented this project, and we've demonstrated that it is a project that's within the rights of your land development code. We're going through your process, and we'd like to get it built and have Bridgeway Center do what they want. And we can speculate whether or not it'll be a good, bad, or whatever. We don't know. But all I know is that it meets your land development code, and that's all we can do.
I think honestly, this discussion is not the right time for this larger discussion, as this is just a project that, as he just said, does meet our land development code. Now, in the future, if the council wants to take some sort of action to eliminate types of uses, that's certainly something that we could talk with our team when they're here available. If there's future action that the council wishes to take against this project specifically, I think that could be something that's discussed. But I think it would also be a good thing to remind everyone that when a business meets all of our land development code, it's very difficult for our city to take any kind of action that says, oh, wait a minute, we don't want that. So I think this discussion, the bigger one, would certainly continue into the future as it has on vagrancy and all of these items. But if anyone else does have a final question for either of our representatives before we move on, Mr. Walker.
I do, yeah. Thank you, Mark and Miss Bonnie, is that right? Yes, I've not spoken with you, I don't know. I might be one of the NIMBYs, and I know that Mark has said, I mean, it's just odd that you're here, Mark. It's odd that this project is here being presented, and it seems as though it was just a presentation with no questions, expectations. We're asking questions for our concerned citizens in the community. They have concerns, and we're trying to express them as well, and it may affect our discussions in the future, whether we take actions or otherwise. But Ms. Bonnie, you had mentioned mental health. At first, I thought it was just recovery for drugs and or alcohol, but you mentioned mental health. So are there people that come there just for mental health recovery?
Well, what we find are people have both. They have substance use issues. They also have mental health issues, a lot of trauma. Depression is another issue, so they're commingled together.
Mm-hmm.
And so we treat both the substance use and the mental health issues.
Thank you. And one other question. You mentioned screening, and you mentioned screening.
Yes,
You mentioned screening, and you mentioned about the safeguards inside the home, but is it fair to say that when they leave that front door to go to work, to go to get the groceries, if they relapse while they're out, they leave the front door and they're going to the grocery store and they bump into an old friend and they receive, whether it's a trigger that causes them to revert to a mental health issue that's put them there to begin with, and I don't know if that was violence, I don't know if it was, I don't know what those were, but they walk out that front door, you have no control of them at that point, whether it's drugs. Now, when they come back in, you're going to test them, but when they come out that front door and they approach our neighbors, our constituents, we're concerned. And I know that you both know that. I don't know that I'm with the mayor, I don't know that we're going to be able to divert anything tonight, but that's our concern. It's definitely mine, that someone leaves there and you moved into next to me and my wife or my kids and all, I wouldn't want you there. I'd want you up there where we as a council have been working.
The problem with having the program up there is there's no staff. We use existing staff at Detox and PTU and case management to support these 11 people. To isolate them up there at One Hopeful Place, which I understand that the council doesn't want to expand any programs up there. Plus, I don't know what the EPA is like with some of that land up there, but there would be no support for them. I mean, they are a different set of people. They're not homeless. They are in recovery, and they would just be sent off to Siberia, really, up there. And they need, because they have no staff. That is what's key to this project, is having that support, having the recovery meetings going on, and having those case managers and those therapists and counselors available to them, because they're very fragile in the first few days of their recovery. So at One Hopeful Place, they would not have that.
Mr. Reeves, why you were here, I asked that question, still don't really know. You don't know either, other than you were just asked to come here. Why were they on the agenda when staff is not here to answer our questions about?
I questioned that earlier, having them come and present without Chris or Tim Gibson that are actually responsible for approving their project.
Sure.
I think that happened before we realized that they were going to be both out of the office at the same time.
Okay.
Again, what I said earlier, it was about information for y'all, because some of the rumors that we had heard were more residents. We were concerned about that, and you guys had questions. So that's how they ended up asking. That we asked them to come and.
Gotcha.
I don't know that staff would really provide much more. I mean, Mr. Steiner is pretty much our expert locally on what is allowed, and I can reiterate exactly what he said that was told to me by your staff. That and I believe one of you mentioned something that if you want, I think it was the mayor, if you want to change something about your land development code, which I think we're looking at as a staff, adding a few things in there that will put it back in your purview. So in the future, they'll have to come and ask for approval if you deem it a major impact to the community, and that could be subjective. So therefore, but at this point, they're here just in good faith to give you some information and kind of,
Thank you, Councilman Schmidt.
Before y'all leave, I just want to address some of the animosity that I'm sensing. It's not so much the effort that y'all both have put in professionally to do what y'all do every single day. And I mean that. What y'all do matters. The question is, it really kind of butts up, and again, I know we're here to talk about the specifics of the project, but up to this point, this is our first time as a board addressing some of the rumors or some of the questions. Our agenda packet just had the on-site engineering plans. So some of the questions aren't so much about the effort that y'all two do every single day. I really do genuinely mean that. It's where the program is. And I know we've talked before about those kind of things, if we can repurpose it, similar to what Mr. Jeter was just mentioning, about the programming that is meaningful, just not right inside the downtown master plan that we're trying to plan. So there was just a sense of unknowns that some of us elected officials had, that we were getting questions that up until when the red light was on, we heard from Mr. Martin. We don't know all the answers that the expert does. We don't know all the answers that you have been working on tirelessly. And we're trying to get some of those. So I'd like to just kind of move on from any animosity from questions or things like that, and let's just continue to develop this conversation. So thank you, Mr.
And Mayor, in all fairness to the applicant, they may not have detailed plans yet of the buildings. They're probably working on the footprint, the engineering. They may not have all of the things that they need. That, you know, they may just be working on their development order right now and then move forward with the actual complete plans of that your actual construction plans is what I'm kind of referring to. That's why we've got the engineering plans.
Well, those are the only plans that we've submitted to the city. At this point in time, the architectural plans are under development.
Okay, that's what.
Yes.
That's kind of where I'm going.
Yes.
And that's all we know.
Say it professionally. So that's why you have what they have available to submit, and we appreciate that.
That's right.
So thank you, Mr. Steiner, Ms. Barlow. Thank you for being here this evening, and I'm sure we'll look forward to seeing you at future meetings.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Bonnie.
I'm going to call just a very quick audible here. We are going to move in the interest of people having to be other places. We're going to move items 10.1 and 10.2 up to right now, right before the consent agenda, so that the people who do have other things that they have to be at can be to those things. So,
Second? I'll do it. Just roll it.
I don't think we don't need a motion for that, correct? Yeah. So we'll move on to Resolution 2025-4, a resolution renaming Kenwood Park as the Peters Neighborhood Park. Do we have anyone to present that, or am I presenting this?
Well, Mayor, it was your item, but it is.
It's my idea. It's my reading.
Yeah, not 100%, but I think your intent was to recognize the Peters family for all they've done in the community.
Absolutely.
And if I didn't agree more, it would be harder for me to present, but I can definitely present it on the fly because it's true. And it is your item, so we'd be glad for you to.
Yeah, I'll just simply read the resolution. It's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Fort Walton Beach, Florida, naming the park currently known as Kenwood Park as the Peters Neighborhood Park, installing the appropriate signage and providing an effective date. So if anyone does have any questions, obviously Mr. Reeves can probably answer them. I know Ms. Corcoran is here as well. And then I could certainly answer a question or two if you have one for me. But anyone with council questions? Mr. Berry.
Yes, I have a question. Why are we even wanting to rename Kenwood Park?
It was my idea, ma'am.
It was your idea?
Yes, ma'am.
And why?
To honor over 50 years of service from the Peters family in our Parks and Recreation Department.
They were compensated during that time where they were working here, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And there's other people that we could name. I won't be supporting this.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else with any questions on the item? Oh, you can talk about it in just a minute. Give me just a minute. We'll just do the questions.
Sorry about that.
Would anyone from the public like to speak on this item specifically? Seeing none, any action on this item from the council?
Mr. Mayor, so moved your recommendation.
Second.
All right, I have a motion from Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilman Schmidt, to approve Resolution 2025-4, renaming Kenwood Park as the Peters Neighborhood Park. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I would certainly like to say thank you to the entire Peters family. While I certainly agree with you, they were compensated for their time here. I'm sure there's certainly a lot of things that entire family has done that they weren't compensated for. And 50 years is a very long time to keep such a high regarded name in the community that's positively affected so many people. Has there been some negatives? Sure, I've got some too. I think we all do. I think there's been a lot more positives than there has been negatives, and I look forward to a bunch of competitive kids fighting it out on that park, just like you raised a lot of kids in Parks and Rec for many, many years. That makes kids tougher, and stronger, just like your kids. So, thank you.
Mr. Schmidt.
What he said, just thank y'all. I mean, thank y'all. Y'all leaned in a lot in this community, in this city. Unfortunately, you know, we couldn't do enough to honor y'all. We really couldn't, what y'all family has done. And we got a lot more generations to come, right, Brady? A lot more generations to come even after. So congratulations on, you know, your new chapter and seeing Mr. Gene and just the different generations to get in this room and have a chance to honor y'all and the family. So thank you.
Ms. Riley.
I just want to also thank the Peters family and also make a comment. You know, sometimes in this life, we tend to you know, dedicate and commit ourselves to whether it's our city or job or, you know, obviously you commit to your family. But a lot of times in life, you don't have to be compensated for everything, or you can be compensated. But your works and your dedication and your heart is in what you do. And so 50 years is a lot of time to commit yourself, whether you were compensated again, or you volunteered, or you got partial pay. At the end of the day, if you love making an impact on people's lives, hats off to you. And specifically with the parks and recreation and green space for our youth, that's one of the greatest youth initiatives that we can ever endeavor in our lifespan. Wellness is so important in our lives today. Thank you so much to the Peters family for all that you have done. And I know for generations, the Peters family will continue to do what is good and what is best for the community or neighborhood in which they live. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Riley. Anyone else wish to speak on this side? Mr. Browning.
So congrats to the Peters family, and especially thanks to Jeff for your friendship and guidance over the past few years. I probably wouldn't be where I am today without it, so very well deserved.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak on this? I would just briefly like to say, this is one of the first things I thought of right away as I got this new title. I thought, what nice little thing could I just come up with that would really honor a whole group of people, and it really wouldn't put anyone out. I think all we've done is make a nice sign here, but at the end of all of our lifetimes, this park will still exist and it will still be called this park. And I think that's important to not only recognize Mr. Jeff Peters, but Gene Peters and Candy Peters as well, who have served this community for so long. So it's a really nice thing to do, and I'm glad that y'all could be here and stay for our presentation. We do appreciate it. So any no further comment? Let's please vote. The motion does pass 5-2. We would like to, if you guys still have a minute, unveil this sign to you as well. Trying to set me up. You know what's going on. Devin? Yeah. Good. Look at the shots. Congratulations. Gene, can you guys want to pull this off here? Big reveal.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you, Fred. I'll tell you what, that is a good looking sign too. I'd like to see that sign in some other parks like that.
Flip it so we can see.
That is a good looking sign.
Maybe we'll stay home.
All right, we'll move quickly on to item 10.2, 2025-5, a resolution bestowing upon Dick Rynearson the title of Mayor Emeritus of the City of Fort Walton Beach, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Fort Walton Beach, Florida, proclaiming former Mayor Dick Rynearson as Mayor Emeritus to serve as Goodwill Ambassador for the city, and we recommend adoption of Resolution 2025-5. Any questions from the council on this? Certainly myself, Ms. Kopp, Mr. Reeves, and others can answer them.
I have a statement.
Well, we'll certainly take a statement in just a minute, for sure, absolutely, once we have a motion. Anyone else with a question on this? Yeah, sure, go ahead. What's your question?
I don't understand why we're asking he already is as being a former mayor and emeritus. I'm a professor emeritus. So I'm not understanding why we're bestowing.
So it's just an honorary title, as you know, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but emeritus is just a title that is given to someone who is no longer in the job, and it's just a nice way of honoring them so that Mr. Rynearson and his wife Janie, who have represented us for so well for so many years, can continue to do that with a nice title to be able to introduce themselves as.
Janie is an ambassador with the chamber and wearing the green jacket and does a wonderful job.
She does.
And I'm not understanding. Glenda Glover served 2 terms as mayor.
She did.
And others have served 2 terms. Why I'm asking why this particular.
I guess the answer to that would be just that the mayor or council following those mayors did not bestow this title upon those mayors.
Is there compensation associated with the being
Zero
mayor?
compensation.
Zero. So he will continue to, as emeritus, he will continue going to the different places that he's gone to before us.
Sure. I know he's going to a dinner tomorrow night that I will also be at. With the leadership of MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa, Florida. On Oakland Island.
I'm just questioning why the other mayors would not offer the same.
Well, and I thought I did offer the answer that those councils that followed that mayor did not bestow that honor upon them. It would certainly be up to future councils to bestow that honor on anyone.
And there's definitely no compensation whatsoever?
No.
No payment for him to travel, no that.
No, ma'am. Anyone else with questions? Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, does council wish to take any action on this item?
Mr. Mayor, so move staff's recommendation to adopt resolution 2025-5 bestowing the honorary title of Mayor Emeritus of former Mayor Dick Rynearson.
Second. Motion made by Councilman Jeter, seconded by, Councilman Schmidt. To accept Resolution 2025-5 bestowing upon Mr. Dick Rynearson the title of Mayor Emeritus of the City of Fort Walton Beach. Any further comments, Mr. Jeter?
Yes, sir. On your last night up here, I think we all about proud to sit here and talk about 16 years being up here, and I think everyone up here said, I've been here too, I've been here this, I've been here that. Couldn't imagine 16. So the fact that you're up here 16 years, you're back here again tonight, and you and your beautiful wife are still willing to go represent us positively in the community. It's kind of like there is no compensation, but we're getting 2 for the price of 1. And they're a little more experienced than you are, so
Amen,
I
brother.
don't know. I'm happy for it. And you know what? I'll even take it one step further. I think that you should be next to get this title when you decide.
Got a while to go. I certainly could disappoint you in the future, so let's not jump to conclusions yet. Anyone else wish to speak on this item?
Yeah. You know, this isn't about agreeing or disagreeing on different things in the past. I mean, the past 16 years, there's been a lot of disagreements between me and my wife, believe it or not. There has. Man, I love her. And I love Mr. and Miss Reinierson as well. We've had some disagreements before in the past. But tonight, we're here to honor a family that has put in years of service. If I could copy and paste one more time what Mr. Jeter just said, we can't honor y'all enough. We can't honor y'all enough. So while we have the opportunity to give roses, while we can, let's keep doing it. So that's why I second it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone else wish to speak, Ms. Ryder?
I just want to say, Mayor Reinierson, Ms. Reinierson, you guys are a hard legacy to have to follow. Thank you so much for everything that you have done for the city of Fort Walton Beach and what you continue to do. And I'm with David. I love the Reiniersons. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wish to speak on this? Seeing none, council, please vote. The motion does pass 5-2. Thank you for being here.
If I could take 15 seconds.
Sure.
I'm both humbled and honored by this, and my wife and I will continue to represent the city to the best of our ability, and we love the city, and we're going to keep on going. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, get to your baseball banquet.
Thank you all. Thank you so much.
All right, that moves us back to the consent agenda, I believe. Is that correct? It is. Mr. Browning, you had an item here.
I'd like to move item 7.4 from the consent agenda and move it to after the consent agenda.
You said item 7.4?
Correct.
Okay. Second. A motion made by Councilman Browning, seconded by Councilman Jeter to approve the consent agenda minus the removal of item 7.4 to directly after the consent agenda for further discussion. Anyone have a comment on that? Seeing none, please vote. It does pass unanimously, which moves us to item 7.4, the emergency structural repair of City Hall. Mr. Reeves.
I can help Mr. Browning with that. We identified the problem out front. The building was built in 1965, so staff kind of made a determination with the help of our utilities director, and I know you know all of this. I'm just kind of doing it for the public. But we initiated that service, so we're moving that forward. Mr. Browning and I talked about it. I think he just wanted to be on the record that one of his, and I don't want to speak for him, but one of the things he wanted to be of note was that replacement of this facility is something that's on our radar. And Mr. Davis and I spoke about it, your future city manager, something that concerns him as well. And as you guys move your directions forward, it's definitely on staff's radar. So we are working on it. But as you guys all know, that's a long-range plan. We've been talking about some budget planning for this year, also some future strategic planning that we'll be bringing forward. Mr. Davis will be orchestrating some of those things and dates and things that you can bring those bigger things back. They have been on the forefront before. Shortly after I got off the council, it was brought forward by Mr. Beatty, and he started some spatial planning and some of those things of what the city might need. But as you guys know, those of you that sat in some of those executive sessions over our own reverter clauses and some of those issues, as soon as that kind of begins to iron itself out, the scope of what's actually going to be replaced may change. So Mr. Browning's good to pull that and good for discussion, and I didn't want to step on anything you might want to say, but that's it in a nutshell. Mayor, thank you.
Mr. Browning, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long-term process, a long process. It's just getting longer and longer because we don't start it.
Right.
So I know that when I was with the city, it was brought before the previous council with plans basically ready to rock and roll with it. So I was just kind of seeing where we were at with that. Danny, if you have anything on it, or we're still kind of waiting for guidance from us, or what, just trying to figure out what we can do to make this process go, because we're spending how much? around $75,000 to fix it. How often is that happening? How much are we spending on it instead of just replacing it?
Daniel Payne, Public Works Utility Services Director. Mayor and Council, I think with the item being pulled, I'm just going to go ahead and go through the item, and then, since it was pulled from consent, I'll basically go through that specific portion out front, and then it probably leads into some other questions that you have. We had an issue this fall. Somebody let us know of a large chunk of concrete that fell off the thing, and we've had that before. It's a spalling situation. It's basically the rebar. There's not enough cover on the rebar. We live in a salt environment. We've had to remove a section before. Obviously, we don't make the call themselves. Anytime you're dealing with a structure overhead and there's public involved, obviously they can be very, potential for a public safety issue on that and on that side. The first time we came by, we had a structural forensic deal say, hey, this portion needs to come down. Through this section, when we had some of these chunks that, we come back and we see them spalled off, we got another valuation and say, hey, we understand long-term this needs to come down, long-term this needs to come down on that side, but it's not that easy. There's, HVAC unit, there's lots of other things that this could spawn into. So we went down the route with a specialty contractor. Some of these problems are typical of what you see, like with condos, with salt water, salt air, and corrosion and things like that. So we had a special, a couple that we were trying to hurry up and quote on that side. You saw the barricades, some of you were on there, obviously it was unsightly on that end. We made the call. To us, it was very clearly a emergency situation. It didn't happen tomorrow, but it happened as soon as we could possibly get somebody out here to do. Per our policy, for some of you who don't know, that we do have emergency expense, emergency PO, and what we have to do is we have to ratify that. This was what that is. It's basically you're ratifying the expense that we had. Why? It's simple, probably is because the policy says so, and we're trying to follow that on that end since it was emergency purchase. We have, some of you have seen it, the work is being done. It should be wrapped up here in the next 2 weeks. We basically rehabilitated what's there to be able to make sure that we can sleep at night and not give Miss Cop or something some type of situation that she does not want to deal with, or me is a licensed professional and all that other type of stuff too. So we have put a lot of money into City Hall over here, but the recommendation here is, with Public Works and Facilities, we're going to continue to maintain things. It's going to be expensive, but at the same point in time, there's people that work here. There's people that come here. We feel like it's our duty unless told otherwise. And even in that case, you still have a duty to the citizens and the people that work here too. As we saw with the council chambers that went down for remediation, and with the HVAC stuff on there. The recommendation, well, before that, I think since we have had an item on charter amendment stuff, this item does have a future budgetary impact related to the Charter Amendment Ordinance 2145. We've been trying to add this on the financial recommendation just so you guys know for compliance-wise. It is subject to restrictions. Oh, I'm sorry, I am on a different item. We do feel like it does not have a impact to the Charter Amendment Ordinance because of the listed exemptions in there, specifically relating to emergency, life safety, property stuff like in there. Who's making that call? I feel like that is, it's opinionated. Anybody else is that's separate Charter Amendment stuff and not purchasing emergency on that. The recommendation that we have is to have City Council authorize the ratification of the emergency repair as defined in section 2.14 and 3.12 of the Purchasing Policies and Procedures to C Sharp Co. LLC of Orange Beach, Alabama, in the amount of $74,236 for structural repairs at 107 Miracle Strip Parkway Southwest, which is this park. So with that, I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Payne, and I would just advise council as well that this item that we're voting on and discussing here is for the authorization of the emergency repairs of $74,236, not a grander debate on whether we should replace City Hall. That is certainly something that this council will need to discuss, as it will be coming up in budget discussions, which are going to be happening here very, very soon, and something that you all can certainly discuss with the new city manager, Ms. Neighbors, and others. And it is something that will need to be addressed. But for now, let's limit this to any questions about these structural repairs.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir. Mr. Schmidt.
It has something to do with the structural repairs, I promise.
Thank you.
But before we pay $75,000 to consider the structural repairs, I really appreciate you pulling this from the consent agenda, because it does address the bigger problem. You know, above your head, we've had that white powder substance on that brick wall for a long time. We got a lot of things around here that we're just, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I heard you say when to pull it from the consent agenda, it's been a long process. My time's running out here pretty soon. So with that being said, how does that play, you know, from a timeline? I don't want to take this from you, Mr. Browning, or as far as, you know, where you're wanting to go with this, and if you're wanting to stop this right now, let's stop it. But how soon are you wanting to get a city hall down the road?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
Let's do it. So with that being said, with legal, don't we have some things going on that we need to determine some of the litigation that may be currently going on, I think that's currently going on, impact what we do here with City Hall? Is that the right thought process? Or what we could do with City Hall?
There's certainly some litigation that could affect what you do with City Hall.
Okay.
I don't know that it has to do with this specific issue,
Right.
but with the larger issue, yes.
That's right. Thank you. Okay. So I'm with you. I just want to give you clarity, because when that red light goes off, we're not going to be able to whiteboard this. So whatever pace you're wanting to go and whatever things we got to clear through legal, I know we can't figure it all out right now, but I'm in support. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You got it. Anyone else with questions about an emergency purchase in the amount of $74,000, Mr. Barrett?
Okay, as a homeowner, I set aside money for repairs. Does the city not set aside? Because I know for a fact that this has been in process, this needing repairs for many years. So do you not kind of look around and say, hey, we might need to, rather than put a Band-Aid on it and wait until it completely starts emergency, do you not every year do a little bit of repair,
I'd be glad to
updating?
answer that question for you, Mr. Berry. I'm pretty sure that we do always have money that is set aside for repairs of all of the buildings and the maintenance of those buildings for certain. It's just that when that amount arises over a certain amount, it has to be brought to the council for the approval of the expenditure.
Okay.
That's all.
Well, I'm going to add to this question. You might try to drop me out, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Go for it.
Why has this not been taken care of years before it came to this?
So,
To this amount also?
first of all, I could say what years, I don't know. I just know since I've been here and facilities has been under the Public Works and Utilities umbrella, we did address one side of it. It's above HR, that's why it's gone, right? In the backup, you'll see a structural evaluation, I think from 2021, maybe 2022.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
So that to us was the most pressing, worst part on that end, and that was a full takedown, right? We didn't explore all this of what we're doing right now until we had, it was it came to our attention that there was chunks falling right out, and then to us that's a little bit of a more dire situation. Now, without getting too technical, I can tell you, as old as it is, whatever was put up there was probably doomed from the day it started, because there was not a lot of cover on the rebar that's in there. Solitary environment, it started day one. There was nothing that you were going to do if you didn't have appropriate cover, which is what those beams had. But the construction techniques have changed over the years. You know, I mean, it's taken a lot more seriously since the incident in Miami that happened a few years ago. And there's a lot more people, we think get into this type of work. But yes, to answer your question, I feel like I can't speak for previously, but we've tried to address this thing before to keep it, you know, serviceable on that note.
So you just put a Band-Aid on it, is basically done.
Well, I don't want to speak for you, but it sounds like what he's saying is that they operated by priority, and they addressed what at the time was the biggest problem, correct, over HR?
Yeah, we removed the whole.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And so that was the priority at that time, and now this has become a priority. So I'm hearing staff say they have limited resources and they're using them where they deem necessary.
Yeah, I mean, we budget money, we just felt like this was the most appropriate way to do it.
And this was all lack of maintenance that caused this failure. It was not, we didn't paint it, we didn't pressure wash it, we didn't take care of it. This was fundamentally the way it was constructed that finally got to a point where we need to make a major repair. Right. And this is what this is. And it hopefully will buy us, if we started tomorrow, the 4 or 5 year program. Danny has been involved in a lot of construction issues. So has our new city manager that's stepping forward. He's been involved in a lot of facilities issues. With their experience, it's even still a 4 or 5 year project to get something off the ground. So this is a repair that needed to be made. But it wasn't a maintenance issue on our facilities people that even came before Daniel. It was really over the 1965 construction techniques to 2025. So 60 years later.
Yeah, I have a house that was built in 65, I understand.
Right.
And so I do, you know, I repair it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking. And, you know, I'm not an engineer, you know, I don't do all that. I do know that I need to do things to keep a new roof and new whatever, you know. And that's, so, but what, bottom line is you waited too long and now we have this amount of money and we're restricted because of our new amendments or resolutions or whatever.
So the only thing that, if this was $49,999, we wouldn't, we're just using our budget. We're still using the same budgeted money that we have in our repair account.
Yeah.
Because it's over, and because it was emergency is why we're here, ratifying this. It's not an additional expense or anything else like that. Now we're burning through our repair money. It takes a big chunk out of that, but it's not I didn't know. I don't have anything to pay for it, but I guess I'm trying to answer your questions. Hopefully that does.
Mr. Mayor. Councilman Schmidt and then Mr. Brown.
I'd like to kind of respond to what Mr. Berry was saying, and I'm sensitive. I understand what you're talking about as far as the project management goes over 60 years, but I would take ownership, and I'd say it's our responsibility as a council. We have to take action. So I'll be Mr. Berry, same kind of question, asking Mr. Browning, how quick are you ready to take pace on really fixing the long-term issue? Because we can't put blame on Public Works. We can't put blame on the 3 city managers that we've had the past 6 months. We can't put blame on anybody else but us. So we need to take action. So I just wanted to respond to that by asking a question. If Mr. Berry was also ready to make a pace that's quick to get some real things done around here.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Browning.
Yeah, I mean, the point of bringing this out was not to, I know the money's already in works. It's just to kind of bring light to how much money we're spending on this place. And for how long, I have no idea, but, you know, I guess the question would be, when do we stop the bleeding and just build a new city hall? I know that's maybe not a question you can answer right now, or you probably can, you say when we tell you to do that. But, you know, that's kind of, I just wanted to bring it up. I know we're about to go to the budget cycle. I wasn't trying to.
You're good, bud.
Yeah.
Anybody else with a question on this item? Seeing none, anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, any action from the board to approve this emergency expenditure?
Mr. Mayor, so move staff's recommendation to the emergency city hall repair for the amount of $74,236 for the structural repairs at City Hall to C Sharp Company LLC of Orange Beach, Alabama.
Second. A motion made by Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilman Browning. to approve the emergency expenditure of $74,236 for the structural repairs here at City Hall. Any additional comments?
Yeah, great discussion by all, good questions, Mr. Berry. Glad we're putting money aside to repair it. Councilman Brown, I'm with Councilman Schmidt. I appreciate you pulling this. I appreciate the discussion we had, and I appreciate your answer being tomorrow. Even if it is tomorrow, like Mr. Reeves was saying, we're probably going to have a few more emergency repairs here over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years while we are building our next City Hall. But I agree with tomorrow. I agree with continuing the repairs. Thank you. Good job. Let's move forward.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else with comments? Seeing none, council, please vote. Thank you, Mr. Payne. The motion does pass 7-0. That moves us to item 8, mayor and council comments, and we start tonight with Councilman Jeter.
I will save the majority of them for the end, but one that did come up while we're discussing, and Ms. Kim, I don't know what we can do about it, but I think you completely understand this board's passion about the definitions of homeless, vagrants, transitional housing. So I just hope we're exhausting all resources and options going forward to keep that our #1 priority. I know there's nothing we can do tonight. We weren't taking any actions, information purposes, but for the record, just like to make sure we're keeping our eye on our #1 strategic goal of vagrancy and preventing any projects or enabling services that we can eliminate, prevent, or channel in a better direction, be it another location or we'll wait till we can take action to go forward, but you get my point. Let's not take our eye off that ball, and let's not. If there's anything we can do to stop things, let's do it. If there's anything we can do to encourage things to go other places, let's do it.
Well, you all are having an LDC workshop in June where you can talk about y'all's vision for the city and, you know, anything you want to consider for the code. What was here tonight, that was a courtesy that they came. We invited them. Council members had questions. The city manager was getting questions. They were kind enough to come and answer questions. As you know, it wasn't for approval or denial. But when you have your workshop, that would be an appropriate time to talk about your vision for the future.
Got it. Yes, ma'am. That's all.
Councilman Merrill.
I'll save them to the end.
Councilwoman Riley.
I'll save to the end also.
Councilman Schmidt.
Save to the end.
Councilman Walker.
Thank you. Just one quick question. You came up earlier, and I've been informed about Senate Bill 180. What can you tell us about that and its potential impact on recent land development code changes, ordinances that we've passed?
So Senate Bill 180, at the kind of the last minute earlier this month, the legislature, both the House and the Senate, added a last minute amendment to this bill that didn't really have anything, in my opinion, to do with the rest of the bill, but it passed both branches of the legislature and it's on the governor's desk, but he hasn't signed it yet as of, I checked earlier today, and it still hadn't been signed. If it gets signed into law, what it does in sum is it provides that if you are in an area affected by the hurricanes in one of these federally designated areas, a county or a city will be restricted in its ability to pass a land development regulation or a comp plan amendment that further burdens or restricts development or process for development. So it will restrict your ability, if signed, to pass LDC regulations that are further burdensome or restrictive. It also provides that if you do it, the ordinance is void and the city or county will be subject to attorney's fees in any litigation. So it's a big bite out of home rule if it passes. It would be applicable from August 2024, so it would be retroactive through October 2027. So it could affect anything the city did if it was deemed to be burdensome or restrictive and meet the statutory requirement. It could be deemed to be void from then. So if it gets past what we're doing now, all of that could be covered, any kind of regulation. But I didn't get to the key part, and I didn't know you were going to ask about this, but thank you for asking because it's a big deal. It just came to me. And I've been talking to staff at least about it, and I was going to bring it to council once I found out if it was going to be effective. We don't know yet. But the areas defined in these disaster declarations cover the entire state of Florida. So it's a little bit misleading to say it's only these areas that were affected by the storms. It actually covers every county and city in Florida. So we will be affected, as will everybody else in Okaloosa County and the state.
Is it your understanding now or impression or belief that maybe the only one I can think of is that short-term rental going to be affected by it?
I really don't think we should do that quite yet, because I have not, reviewed the short-term rental ordinance to determine if it fits under this statute. Could it be? Potentially, or not?
And our MX3 didn't. Our MX3, well, we did a modification to...
Right, and we have to go through, so anything from August 2024 on, we would have to review if the law passes.
Okay, great.
And a developer or an individual could come in and say to us, your regulation is more burdensome or restrictive, and then we have a certain time frame under the statute to declare our intention to fix it, remove it. So if the short-term rental regulations were deemed by someone in the community to be burdensome or restrictive, and they brought that to us, you would have, and I don't remember the exact amount of days, it may be 15 days, something like that, to say, we are going to repeal the ordinance. And you can't repeal an ordinance in 15 days, you just announce your intent. Why can't you repeal an ordinance in 15 days? Because you have to repeal it the same way you passed it. 2 public hearings, it's like backwards process, so it would probably take a month or 2 to repeal an ordinance.
Great, thank you.
Councilman Schmidt, you want to add something to that?
So the layman's terms, so the federal government's restricting local government.
This is the state of Florida.
But some federal, you mentioned some federal, something about the areas of the state that were impacted by the hurricanes and those kind of things. So, all right, federal or state, but where I was going with that is our home rules really in jeopardy with this? I guess that's the question, Ms. Cobb.
Yeah, it's a big bite out of home rule. Local governments should be able to, choose the regulations for their local communities. Now, you have to think about everything you do, even if you're going to relax a standard. Forget about just making things more restrictive, but if you relax a standard and then, the council decides that wasn't the best for our community, but now you can't go back during that time frame at least of 2024 to 2027. So you really have to think about, and you already think about your regulations, but you really have to think about things because you may not be able to change them.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Mr. Browning. Ms. DeBerry.
Yes, I'll keep, this is a happy note. I want to thank the staff and everyone and Dennis for Billy Bowley's parade last night. It was fun. Dennis was able to do the research about getting permission to put kids on the antique fire truck. We saw the kids in the police submarine, I call it.
Swap vehicle.
The one that goes out in the water. That's why I call it the submarine. The kids had a ball. The children had a ball. We got extra carts, and thank you for getting the all carts there. We were hoping to see more council members there with their families, follow us on down there. But it was good. The kids had fun. I enjoyed. I was the only adult on the fire truck there, except for the driver. And they were precious. They were really, really, really precious. And thank you, Dennis, and thank you, staff, for a good parade. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. DeBerry, and thank you again. You did a wonderful job watching all those kids. One of them was mine.
I know.
And he had a blast.
He was good.
He had a blast, so thank you very much for that. I'll also save my further comments to the end, and we'll open it up now for the public. If anyone from the public wishes to comment on anything that is not on this agenda tonight, please step forward and just state your name and address. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Pete Peters, and if you're handing out things, I'll take a street or something.
You just got a park.
I'm going to start taking my grandkids there and tell them that's me. But anyway, my address is 800 Choctaw Lane in Shalimar, but I own some businesses in Fort Walton Beach. Merrick Enterprises is a business that I own and I'm here to talk about tonight. I bought the old Vibe. You probably all know what the vibe is. I talked to some of the police officers that had to go there several times. I bought that 2 years ago, and I thought the city would be very proud of us for fixing it up and running some of those people off that were hanging out there and causing trouble. We ended up, in fact, if you don't know, that was banned from the Air Force. They weren't allowed to go there, 116 Perry. And so, anyway, I bought that. We started working on renovating it. We've done a lot of renovations on that building. And I just ended up, I wanted to put a cover over, a cover, so if you haven't seen it, we're probably one of the only churches that has moved into a downtown. Most churches are moving out of a downtown. And Cornerstone is a brand new church, Global Methodist Church, only one probably in Okaloosa County right now. And so that's moved in there. And so I wanted to put an awning out, and I was going to do it at my expense, not at the church's, but put an awning out so that some of the elderly come in out of the sun, out of the rain, blah, blah, blah. So what did I do? I went and ordered, went to a contractor and said, hey, can you make this happen? Yeah, we can do that in 4 months or whatever. And I said, great. Well, they started the process and then they stopped. They said, well, we went to the city, there's a problem. Because I'm a business owner, I have 3 different businesses, and so I wanted things done right, I want to follow the rules. I will bump against a guardrail, but I will stay within the realm of what we're supposed to. And so they contacted me, they said, Pete, we got a problem. They said, you have 2 properties. And I said, I do. And they said, yeah, well, I bought one, but it had 125 Egland Parkway and 127. I didn't know that. I was curious when I got a tax bill and there was 2. And so they turned around and they said, you have to merge those. So I said, okay, what do I need to do? Go to the county, get that merged. I said, okay. I went to the county, said, hey, I'm supposed to merge these. Here's my deed, everything I have. They went, okay, they did some work. A week later, they're merged. And I said, okay, now we're good to go. Told, and then they called me and said, no, that didn't work. You got to go to the city of Fort Walton. I went, okay. So I came to the city of Fort Walton, and I'll be honest with you, I'm an IT guy. One of my companies is IT, and the kiosk there drove me insane. And I don't know what you call your stuff. I only know what I want. You know, so I want somebody to come out and talk to me about how do I get this merged, right? So I just pick something, wait for somebody to come out. So that's a separate issue, just point that out. But I finally got in, talked to Tim, had a good conversation. He goes, no, you can't merge it through the county, you have to go through us. Okay, fine. So we went through he goes, do this application. I did it at home, it didn't work. So I came back to the city, went through the kiosk again, and then ended up, Tim came out, we helped, we got it done on and it sounds like I'm stupid, but not totally. And so anyway, we ended up getting that process done. Do I owe you money? Yeah, you owe me money. Okay, $270, whatever it was. Okay, are we good to go? Yeah. The problem is you messed up by going to the county. And I said, well, isn't the goal to get them merged? Yes, but you bypassed us. But they're merged, aren't they? Yeah, but you bypassed. Okay, we'll do your stuff and, you know, catch up along the way. Okay, so we ended up getting to the point where they're merged. And then what happened is, I'm told, well, you got to come out and fill this stuff out. I come back out, I'm sent a letter that said they're notifying everybody within 300 feet of my property. Okay, so I waited, I sent a message to the only person I knew, never got a response. And I'm like, what now? I know, I got to go to the city. So I've been to this office over here 4 or 5 times, still haven't figured out the kiosk. But I go there, and I sit there, and they said, yeah, that letter. I said, what's the outcome of the letter? Well, there's no outcome. They're just letting people know you're doing it. I said, well, then what are we waiting on? What's next? Oh, you have to get a survey. I said, well, I have a survey. No, you need a new survey. Show all improvements. I go, and the lady pulled it up on the screen. Very nice people, but they pulled it on the screen. I go, yeah, that's it. There's no improvements. That's it. Well, you got to get a new one. It's got to be within 5 years. So I feel like I've been playing a game of fetch. I come in, hey, you got to go do this. I come back, now you got to go do this. Now you gotta go do this. In fact, when they said you gotta pay the $270, you can do that online, you can do that on, no I can't. I come in here, get on the kiosk, come on Tim, show me how this works, and let's make it happen. So I'm just a frustrated user. One of my philosophies when I go out, I don't care if it's to eat or buy something or whatever, if something went wrong, customer or employee treated me poorly or the food was lousy or whatever, I tell the owner. I just tell the owner, just FYI, do what you want to do about it, but I want you to know. That's why I'm here tonight. I'm letting you know there's some frustration going on, at least from me, and I'm sure I'm probably not the only one. I still have no idea. And I asked the lady, when am I going to be done? When is this over? She goes, oh, this might be over by August. I go, August? We started this back in October, and it's still going on. I think that's why I'm here, and just let you know. I've been doing what I can do, but it's frustrating.
Thank you, Mr. Peters.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
So, Mr. Peters, and this is all for an awning. Just
On the
about,
awning.
like
They said
outdoor-
they couldn't cross over 2 properties on the awning. Now, what I could have done, I could have tricked the system and just come up to that property and left a gap, and I could have had an awning there. But I wanted it to look good. So I went through the process I was told to do, and it wasn't right. Sorry.
This is very near and dear to me because I don't know if anything's closer than, it's kind of why I ran. And I've talked to Mr. Reeves, and I hope to, even when we spoke, it was one of the major things with our new city manager coming in that I don't know what we can do, because very nice people. Like, right, you know, I went through a development as well and struggled and struggled and struggled, and when they told me to bring it to council, I remember I said, well, I'll run for council. And that's what started the process of me being up here. And so I hate that kiosk. We can get rid of that kiosk one day. I hopefully, yeah, 100%. I can't stand it. But how do we take that office? When you come in, Mr. Davis, you know, even on your transition, what can we do? What can be brought to council where we can go, hey, what do you, and because I don't want to attack them, but I want to ask them what they need to do their job more efficiently and to provide a customer service, because, you know, their staff, we're not staff, we're elected officials. I'm up here with no compensation. I'm happy to do it, but we're doing it to serve the city. So if you work for the city, you work for the city. And I don't think that office sees it like that as they should. So.
And the other comment I'd say, I would think we're making a nice impact on Fort Walton Beach. And we're making it nice. We're doing something that's really going to be beautiful after we get done. We've already talked to your, I forget the name, it's the people that give you grant money to make it look better. You all know what that is. But putting some palm trees in there and lighting them up and making it really look nice. And I would say, I would think that when I come to ask for help, you'd be jumping at the bit to try to help me make it look better as quickly as possible. And it just seems to drag on and on.
Well, I appreciate waiting almost 2 hours just to tell us about your frustration.
Yeah, if I'd have known that ahead of time.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public wish to speak?
Hello. Hello. All right. I am here on behalf of some other people. I may take a few more than 5 minutes, but I'll be as quick as I can. I'm here in regards to ordinance number 2181, regulating short-term rentals. I proudly boast 9 years of superhost status, and my community and I have some concerns about this new ordinance. I am personally exempt for 5 years from this ordinance, if I interpreted it correctly. However, I'm here on behalf of doing what's right, not just for myself, but for others. First, when a law is written, it needs to be policed. I have been compliant with the state, county, and city licensing to the extent it exists over the past 9 years. The city does get 1% tax on my bookings, regardless of what regulation exists already. The county gets 6%, the state gets 6%. Being compliant puts me at a disadvantage because many of the STRs, which are short-term rentals, are not compliant. Those taxes amount to 13% on top of my nightly fee. So if my nightly fee is $100, it's actually $113, plus the credit card fees and commissions, which the sites charge me for. So this makes me about 15 to 20% more expensive than somebody who's non-compliant and not being policed. So this is extremely frustrating, and I'm not going to go dark on the people I know aren't doing it, but like somebody needs to stand up for me if I'm going to do what I'm asked to do. So that's issue one. On page 1, it states this ordinance does not prohibit nor intend to prohibit short-term vacation rentals. But in fact, it does just that. It prohibits individuals from participating as short-term renters and forces them into a corporate structure. And this is my biggest issue with this ordinance. For 9 years, I've been an individual reporting an individual's income as rental income. There's no reason to require me to become a business and then encourage other businesses to buy up our single-family dwellings that should be owned by individuals in our community. So this part of it, just requiring a business license in order to obtain the short-term rental license, is probably the biggest problem for me. I just think that we need to be very careful against legislating for businesses and against individuals. It increases insurance costs exponentially, 3 times more when I go into a corporate, commercial policy versus a residential policy without a lease. So that's a big deal for me. Let's see, where did I leave off? Ordinance 2181, regulates against us. Let's see. I just said all that. The price of adding that insurance, by the way, adds about $500 a month to my expenses. This is the very first year in my 9 years that I lost money in April. I lost money renting in this community, and it's the very first year in my entire career of this that I have an open week in June and 3 open weeks in July. So whatever you guys are writing that costs us more money, it's bad for the city too, because we're in North Florida, and I don't know if you noticed, but it snowed this year. And I did some research in South Florida to see what the real estate values are down there, because if I'm going to be put out of business by my own town, where am I going to go? And the prices of real estate down south, where it doesn't get as cold as it does here, and it's warm all year round, are comparable right now to our prices. So you really don't want to drive the business completely out of our town. Anyway. I want to firmly state that I am supportive of regulating STRs. We need to know how many are here, where they are, and have some power to reprimand nuisance owners and even remove their rights to perform if necessary. I have been told by one council member that in 8 years there have only been 2 nuisance owners with repeated complaints, and by another council member that no citations have been issued by the police or code enforcement to either of these owners. Of course, as a community member, I want to support and protect against disrespectful owners infringing upon the rights of neighbors and burdening our public system, but not at the cost of infringing upon rights of the rest of us. Too bad apples shall not spoil this bunch. My request here in front of the community and to you all is that you remove clause 8.13.05, number 6, requiring a business license in order to obtain the short-term rental license. Individuals should be able to acquire this license, and perhaps businesses are the ones that should be written out of the STR ownership in our community if you really want to help the actual citizen owners of this town. Now, this clause further incurs costs for owners by forcing us to incorporate or get LLCs, which is about $450. That's at the federal level. Then I have to relicense myself at the state, at the county, and of course now with the city. It means paying for all those fees again. I already paid for them this year, actually, just like a month ago. And it means I pay my tax accountant for more forms every year. It changes my tax designation from rental income to corporate income and dividends, and it costs me more time to manage the additional burden. I also request you move number 7, requiring resale certificate sales tax, as it is not required at the state level. Airbnb and VRBO collect this on our behalf and remit it. Now, if somebody is like self-promoting and allowing direct bookings, obviously they need to have it, but that's all already written. It doesn't need to be rewritten. You know, like a lot of this 13 pages or whatever it is rewritten code that already exists. So don't really know what it does to help anybody. Let's see here. Please do not regulate for big businesses and insurance by having businesses buy our local properties. Please remove clause 8.13.05, number 6, and number 7. I'm going to take a few minutes to breeze through some of this ordinance. transient occupants typically not familiar with our evacuations plans and means of egress. This part, this is on page 2, this scares me. You are putting a burden, which is a word I'd heard just used in regard to SB 180. You're putting a substantial burden on me to remodel properties that are residential. Maybe there should be a compromise here. Like if you have 15 people that are able to stay in one house, at that point you have a lot of souls in the house. Maybe there's some kind of like, you know, ballooning effect where you write it in for houses of a certain size, but my 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, it shouldn't be required to replace, you know, all my windows and find a commercially lighted sign for my doorway exit at the front door. I mean, this is a bit of an overreach here. You talk about the utility usage of the short-term rentals. As long as you are requiring these rentals to stay within the residential building code, then this should not be an issue. It was allowed to be built to this capacity, then it should be allowed to be used to that capacity. It's not an additional burden on the fire and police systems. Ensuring that transient occupants are provided with a similar level of protection to hotels, motels, and similar lodging. Again, this is dangerous wording because what does that mean? Are we now in our single-family homes required to put in sprinkler systems? Like, where does this stop? If it's similar, someone starts interpreting it. I just think a lot of this needs to come up. Short-term rentals operate as commercial enterprises. Just written in here. I'm just going to repeat it. And vacation rental is a commercial lodging activity. Just this wording alone, like I said, the insurance cost is prohibitive for me. It also says some short-term vacation rentals in the city are being used exclusively as rentals by investors and owners. Yeah, so are long-term. That's like since the beginning of time. I don't really see what the designation is here on that. Investors rent. That's what they do with property. So. Charter buses. This needs further definition. I think it's a great idea to have, you know, a small bus or a large van pick up groups of people who are out drinking in our town. I feel like I'm like glossing you guys over, but people out drinking don't need to be driving on our roads. And if you have 8 people in a van or bus, then you don't have 4 cars on the road. You know what I mean? Like this can use work. Commercial special events. This doesn't only affect the short-term rental market. This affects our film community, who I was in touch with today about this. A lot of times as a producer in commercials and print, I'll go to Airbnb and VRBO. And I will find my locations with that. And I'll write to the owner, hey, we want to film your house. This is a great house for what we want to do. And we pay them well. And we go and shoot there. This right here, this commercial events thing, you've completely written us out of being able to rent our houses to a film. And I mean, it's not a big deal around here. It doesn't happen that much. My neighbors wouldn't be mad about it, but it writes us out of that. You also have contradictions in this part of the ordinance where it says 2 or more company banquets or 2 or more commercial special events, but then commercial uses, it says only 1, and then further on down the line, it says none at all. So this needs to be worked out. You guys really wanted to pass this and didn't really want to talk about it with us, but there's a bunch of problems in here. I have other issues, but I'll skip through that because I'm taking up some time. The decal on the outside of the front of the property just makes it look like a business. I think it should be inside, whereas if a cop has to knock and open the door, they can see it. It doesn't need to be on the front of the house, making it not look like a home. That's the most important stuff. Business tax receipt, once again, is in here. It's like in here like 4 times. I don't think that we should be required to serve emergency calls. I think that wording needs to come out because that is the job of the emergency responders, though there should be somebody local to deal with issues like plumbing or whatever. Right, I'm almost through it. Trash cans for every 4 occupants. Is a trash can and a recycling can 2 trash cans? No. Okay, well 4 people don't need 3 trash cans because I equally use recycling and trash. So, and also I think it should be 6 people, and I think it should be written in that there should be 1 trash and 1 recycling, or 2 trash cans for 6 people. This is overkill. This is burdening us. Fees, figuring it out, it's silly. I've never had a problem. I'll stop there. There's more. I'll email you my redacted file, but those are the biggest concerns. Just the overburdening of things and preventing me from running my house to a film if I want to. Like, I just think you guys, it's just a lot. So I ask respectfully, please get off my lawn and out of my pocketbook. Thank you.
Okay, Rick, before you go, can you just please state your name and address?
Oh, sorry.
You're all good.
Rafi Alexius, 325 Brooks.
Ms. Alexius, if you would, I'm not sure if you were here when I asked Ms. Cobb about the bill that's on the governor's desk. If you and your group of citizens want to get together, I would encourage you to write the governor and let him know that you support him signing that bill, because it may end up taking all of the stuff that we did. It may, as she said, it may take it away.
I'll try.
And you won't have to come back to us and ask us to do it.
Yeah, I will. I'll tell them this.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak? Yes, sir. Just please.
Good evening, council.
Good evening.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
I'm Will Rittenhouse, 58 Avery Drive, Valparaiso. I'm a naval officer up at the Eglin Air Force Base Range Road side. Just got down here 2 weeks ago after 6 years stationed in San Diego, Hawaii, and Korea. But don't worry, I've been keeping abreast of the situation with the YouTube videos and everything. Really appreciate you guys posting those. They're great to watch while folding laundry. I wanted to come here today to talk about something that was brought up during the last council meeting in April. I'm a small-scale developer, and I own 100 Wyndham Ave over on Wyndham Ave and 3rd Street. There was some issues brought up last week that are near and dear to my wallet and my future prospects investing in this area. And with regards to the Baptist Church's development and their workforce housing projects, which I'm all for. And Councilman Walker, I'm sorry to bring it up workforce housing, but I hope we'll get through it quickly. I just wanted to make sure it was clear to the council that the workforce housing grants are vital to some of the developments going on. And I fully support the Baptist Church's development plans. It sounds like they have some really, really good projects going for some land that may not be effectively used otherwise. Now, having said that, I understand that some administrative burdens can be very difficult or sometimes impossible to overcome. And there are other small-scale developers out there who could truly, truly benefit from some of those workforce housing funds. Now, I'm not saying that this is a zero-sum game. Funding has to go to the Baptist Church or other workforce housing funds. The City Council has the full right and responsibility to fill workforce housing funds at their discretion. I'm not saying that that's a requirement either. I just wanted to make sure that I brought it up to the City Council that there are shovel-ready sites in downtown Fort Walton Beach in the CRA district that will not go forward without additional grants from the city. That's everything from me. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak tonight? Please do. Seeing no one else from the public wishing to speak, we will take a brief 10-minute recess and be right back.
We're gonna slip out.
Good evening once again, everyone, as we resume this meeting of the City Council of Fort Walton Beach, Florida. We are now on item 10.3, I believe. Is that right? Yes. Resolution 2025-6, amending the fiscal year 2024-2025 comprehensive fee schedule. Ms. Neighbors.
Thank you, Mayor. As some of you on council know, this year in September, during the budget season, we bring this fee schedule back as a staff, and we update, delete, add things to fit in the next fiscal year budget. Sometimes during the middle of the year, we realize there's a few things that we need to be updating, like golf fees, or we have the new speed cameras that, which by the way, I got a warning on, so maybe we did get the warnings. But so there's only a few things on here that we're changing. There's 7 items. One, there's the one for the photo enforcement and police services. In recreation, there's library room rental fees. In golf, there's 3. There's a membership rates, green fees, and range ball fees. And in public works, streets and utility services, residential garbage fees. For all of you that are newer, just to hold it up, when you look at the backup documentation, all of the stuff that's highlighted in yellow, that's the stuff that we're changing. You'll see anything that's new will be underlined, and anything we're taking out is crossed out, obviously. So if you guys have any specific questions about the items in the fee schedule, the department directors are here to answer any questions for you guys. So staff respectfully recommends City Council adoption of Resolution 2025-6 to amend the comprehensive fee schedule for fiscal year 24-25.
Thank you, Ms. Neighbors. Questions from council for either Ms. Neighbors or specific directors affected by these fee schedules? Bit of a shocker, but I kind of like it.
I like it.
Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, council wish to take any action?
Mr. Mayor, so move to adopt Resolution 2025-6 to update the comprehensive fee schedule for fiscal year 24-25.
Second. Motion made by Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilman Schmidt to approve Resolution 2025-6, amending the fiscal year 24-25 comprehensive fee schedule. Additional comments?
Yes, sir.
Anyone?
As we prepare for this budget process, thank you, Jacob, for continuing to be creative. And I know we spent a lot of time in this conversation earlier on, but I just want to highlight it again. These little simple changes right here that we're about to just kind of blow through, it seems like, really quickly, those are changes that came from our city manager's leadership, finance, and your leadership to generate this revenue that's a user base. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else? Council, please vote. The resolution does pass unanimously. Brings us to item 10.4, Resolution 2025-7, a resolution for the Florida Department of Transportation to support and approve State Route 85 temporary road closures. Mr. Daniel Payne.
Mayor and Council, tonight before you, you have an item related to resurfacing Eglin Parkway. It's coming down the road, literally. To be July 2025, the project's supposed to be let. There is significant, and once again, this is a state road. Our role in it is limited, but there is a significant issue, as you guys all know, with the pavement that's there. Related to some inferior product when it was done 10 plus years ago. Because of that, whenever they do resurface it, they're going to be going deeper than they usually. I'm sure everyone's driven over something when a road is milled. It's usually milled down an inch or two. It's a drop, but it's not, 4 inches or so. Well, there's some deep milling going to occur in a few different areas, and because of that, they're going to have to basically close some sections within a week. There's probably a couple nights realistically, but they have some weather days in there, and then reroute and detour, similar to maybe you guys saw on the Bowlegs Parade last night. Not at that extent, but a couple side streets over, and those are listed. With DOT, they like resolutions for everything, and then we Ms. Barnes knows that on that end. So that's what you have in front of you. The roads affected are listed in the agenda item, but basically there's a detour from 3rd Street, Tupelo and 4th in one spot, and then another for Kelly and Hughes, which is in Cinco Bayou, but Walter Martin on that side that we have through there. The state will be responsible for the MOT and all that, and obviously they'll schedule way in advance on that side. So having said that, if there's any questions with that item, we respectfully recommend City Council approval of Resolution 2025 to support and approve temporary road closures pursuant to completion of the milling and resurfacing operations for State Road, the resurfacing of State Road 85 and State Road, from State Road 30, which is US 98 to Richburg Avenue, with specifically the portions in the city of Fort Walton Beach.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. Any questions from council for Mr. Daniel Payne? Mr. Schmidt.
Does that include the decking of the bridge there in that 98 to Richburg? There was a question as far as
the Cinco Bridge.
Yes, thank you. The Cinco Bridge.
It did last time.
Okay.
It did last time. I'm assuming it will this time.
Okay, all right. And I know this is about the rerouting that impacts the bigger project. Thank you, Mr. Payne.
You got it. Mr. Walker?
It's just a typo. It says Richburg and the city of Fort Walton Beach, and I'm like, I'm missing this street, but it goes to Richburg and Shalimar.
Correct.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of complaints about those bridge gaps. I mean, and I've noticed them, they're getting bigger and bigger and I think deeper, but hopefully they will address that.
Anyone else? Questions? Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, council, do you wish to take any action?
Mayor, so moved. Staff's recommendation.
Second. Got a motion by Councilman Schmidt, second by Councilman Jeter to approve item 10.4, resolution 2025-7 for the Florida Department of Transportation to support and approve the State Route 85 temporary road closures. Any further discussion?
Yeah, real quick. I know some will be mad that we're doing this during tourist season or summer things and stuff like that, but thank you for continuing to push this down the road, because these are the infrastructure projects that are important. These are things that, but also too, the Shalimar Bridge and the Cinco Bridge, and we'll follow more on that. I was just curious about that. So thank you for getting us to this point.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Council, please vote. All right, does pass unanimously. That moves us to item 11, where we are looking for action, direction, and discussion. Council direction on grants and aids for the fiscal year 2025-26 budget. Mr. Reeves.
Mayor and Council, I appreciate that. We just, we're getting deeper in, staff is getting deeper into their budget cycle, and this is something that really falls outside of just our normal funding mechanisms, something basic that we would typically just go forward with. And previous councils, they have kind of questioned this here and there, and we just want to reinforce that. I think you saw the 3 charities that you guys do fund outside of your normal budget, which is the EDC, the swimming facility, the Bernie Lefebvre group, and then we also do the chamber. So just want to make sure that you guys are in concert again with us doing that again for this budget cycle. Obviously, it's been in previous budgets, so there won't be any effect to the referendum because it was in the actuals that we utilized in 2024. So we just respectfully ask that you support that with some type of motion that moving forward with those staff's recommendations.
Thank you, sir. Questions for Mr. Reeves on this? Mr. Walker. Mr.
Reeves, you said charities.
Well, I mean, charities, yeah, I guess that would be, you are charitable to give them the money. I don't know that they are all charitable, meaning nonprofit, which we had this discussion earlier. I am not certain exactly of their technical status. I do know that the Bernie Lefebvre swimming facility isn't 100% a nonprofit. It is open to the public. The other 2 are more
working groups in the community again.
Right, and I did look at that.
I should have probably, after we talked about it, I should have researched it deeper, but I just didn't.
There's only one of them that's a true 501c3, I believe it is, and that's the swimming facility. And then the other two are businesses. The EDC had a tremendous, one of their longest clicks that I was able to go to, they had 26 pages of supporters. No, they actually called them investors, so that caught my eye. So when we look at that, and then we know that the chamber's got, I forget how many members he says supports it, 200, 300, 1,200. I don't remember. It always sounds like a big number. So, with that all being said, those being private businesses and entities, for me to support taxpayer dollars going to a private business when they're already getting support from other municipalities and or county functions, I'm not going to be supporting these items remaining in the budget. I would like to pull them out, keep them out, and use them in those cases that we may be in a pinch for money. Thank you.
Just for a point of clarification on what you just said, I can't speak specifically of the Fort Walton Beach Chamber of Commerce, but generally speaking, Chamber of Commerce are non-for-profit entities, 501c6.
Okay, I did not see that on their website. I went there and looked at it, and so I didn't exclude the 501c3 that I knew about from that, because it's still taxpayer dollars.
I think we just wanted some clarification from the staff level and to have some true support. Obviously, they bring various things for the city, do certain benefits that they do bring forward, so we just wanted clarification.
Councilman Jeter?
We can all sit here and overanalyze all three of them. The pros and cons of all of them. I will definitely support them being in the budget going forward for a multitude of reasons. But I think every year, I've really enjoyed the last couple of years of these type of things being a discussion. And, one EDC had somebody tell me that they do a lot of stuff in Crestview and for the airport. But I still think they positively impact us. And I know Councilmember Schmidt represents us on that board. They are very impactful to our county. And you look at that and say it's a lot of money to pay to have a seat at a table or to have a representative on that board, but I really do think it's truly investing back in the community because we get tenfold that back, whether it's from the airport or the jobs and all the things they're bringing to Crestview. We can go to the chamber, and have they gotten involved in some things that maybe many of us up here wish that they shouldn't have? Absolutely. Do they still do some positive things for our community? You go to that Friday breakfast at the chamber, and the county's there, the jail's there. There's a lot of impactful people in one room that are really all just trying to work together and get things done. So you look at that, and yeah, it's a large number. I think the county pays more than us in this and that. So just because you support a Friday breakfast, or just because you write them a check, doesn't mean you have to agree with everything that the chamber does. I really did not support however it was, and we've discussed this many a times, and however the letter was sent last time of whether we're on their board or not on their board, and they did not want Councilmember Meade up here, who is by far the most genuine, nicest person we all know in this community. Was it a level of misunderstanding, or was it a level of backdoor politics? I don't know, but at the same time, I think I've said meet in the middle, work together, move forward up here many times over the last 2 years, and I think all of these organizations, you go to the swimming pool.
We got a question in here, bud.
My question at the end was going to be, are you looking for a motion? But I was going to tell you, are you looking for a motion, or are you looking for direction from each individual head nod?
We would like to have a motion, I think, to move this forward.
Mayor, do you want to comment?
Yeah, you can make a question here. Yep, you're up, Ms. Riley, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to make a quick comment. I certainly do support the three agencies, and what I can tell you is a city cannot thrive without collaborative partnerships. With your chamber, I've not known too many cities that do not have a collaborative relationship or partnership with their city. And, the Economic Development Council, wonderful organization as well. And so I'm totally in support of all three of them, It's just wonderful and nice to know that that collaborative partnership is there. That's what we're here for. The city is to grow economic-wise, and also to be able to say that we support our local businesses and we have a partnership, with our local non-profits and charitable organizations. So I'm very much in support.
Anyone else with a question for Mr. Reeves? Mr. Jeter?
Question would be, can we reach out to them and come back to some presentations also? Because when you write money to these people, we need an update, whether they like us or not.
Well, I mean, I just want to say, I met with the, I've had a mixed relationship personally and both professionally with the chamber, and I'm not with the other two organizations, but I knew that this board had had some reservations about this particular item. And so I met with their CEO as a representative for you guys, and it was a very good meeting. And there were a few things that came out of that I think that previous councils have gotten into some misunderstandings with that group. And I don't mean necessarily their CEO. I mean their board. Their board has done some things that I think that you guys clearly know how I feel about some of that. But it was probably one of the best, most productive meetings I've ever had. I mean, that sounds as ridiculous as that sounds. And I think they misunderstood what I know some of you to be true about how you feel about them. And they limited their involvement in some of the things that we had been very involved in on one side or the other. And I think we really came to a good collective ground place. And I even brought that up, that the chamber in particular. Now, I know that Mr. Sparks would more than willingly come and speak. And I wanted this to be a positive thing for you guys. To again, what Ms. Deb put forward, the working together for, as you touched on, Mr. Bryce, on the working relationships with an organization that's nearly as old as the city itself. We as boards and as city managers, as Mr. Davis and some of the people, myself, we're not always going to see eye to eye with these groups, but I know that just like we have friends we don't see every day, but if we really needed them, that we could reach up, pick up the phone, they'd come and help us. And I want to get Fort Walton Beach, and I hope to see the Fort Walton Beach one day, is where we have businesses, once again, knocking on our door, that we need these services from these guys, and that we already have an ear with them, and whatever capacity that is. I think it's a positive thing, and absolutely they would come and greet and meet this board and present. I think that they, especially I can speak to the chamber because I had a good meeting with them about that, and I think they definitely want to do what they can to mend that relationship. I think as you guys do, because you kind of alluded that not too long ago. I think you even verbalized that to me. So I kind of did it on your behalf, and I thought it was a good thing. So it is a significant, I just wanted to not do things, I never want to think that the staff is doing something they shouldn't be doing and you guys aren't aware of something. So I wasn't really going to bring that necessarily up with some of the misunderstandings you might have had with that particular group, but I think it's something that needed to be, that talk about the discussions I had. And again, maybe there was room that needed to be worked on, I think on both sides. I think you guys recognize that. They clearly recognize it, and they definitely want that relationship to be mended. And I don't mean we got to give money to do that. I think this is a sense of goodwill from the city. I'm one of the most conservative guys that you guys will find. I don't think we should throw our money away, but I do understand where Mr. Walker's coming from. I appreciate his comments, and I think there's something there. But each one of these groups does bring a different set of skills that would help the citizens in some way. So,
Ms. Barnes?
Yes, sir. I just want to clarify. When they were coming, they used to come like every quarter and give a report. I would actually call and remind them what day would be best, as far as the large agenda, small agenda. When a lot of the controversy was going on, and we also were extending our meetings each night, they were getting longer and longer. Mr. Peters and I were working on ways to try to shorten the meeting, working on specific agenda items and so forth. And because of the issues that were happening, we just decided that at that moment, they probably needed to hold off on coming, and they both agreed. I called and talked to both of them, and they were like, that's fine, just let us know when you're ready to come back. So they are both willing to come back. So
fantastic.
Get ready for me to notify them to come back. Let them know.
Yes, ma'am.
Be great.
Anyone else wish to ask a question? Ms. DeBerry?
Not ask a question, but I'd like to. I can make a comment.
You can once there's a motion made.
Yeah.
My
question is, I'd like to, may I make this comment?
Why don't you just ask a question that's a comment, and it just sounds like it has a question mark on the end of it.
Okay. I believe that if we were to ask all of these and gather together, and I've been going to all of these long before I came on council, and to observe, you know, the EDC, the round tables, you know, the Chamber of Commerce. I've known these people for years and years and years and years, and we had our disagreement. And what the Chamber does, I've gone to a lot of those their meetings and all that they do, and it's good. It's good. Politics really does this to people, and we're here to work together. I'm willing to do whatever I can to work together. I donate to the Emerald Coast Fitness Foundation because I believe in it. I asked Michael Beatty whenever we were building that sports complex, well, where's the swimming pool? No, we don't want a swimming pool here. You know, we got a swimming pool over there. You know, they didn't want the maintenance. They didn't, just like Niceville, they tried to get that big swimming pool there, but they didn't want the maintenance. Well, Emerald Coast Fitness Foundation, they are taking on the challenge to maintain it. As old as the old YMCA is, and it is costly. Fortunately, they got the Impact 100 grant, and we didn't get that. I thought we got that. Okay, I beg your pardon. I'm sorry. But they offer so much. The Chamber offers so much with all the, you know, the different groups that come there to the meeting room and working with the different businesses. I go there, you know, and I just talk. And so that I think if we work together, let us work together. We can't help what happened. The amendments were passed. We got to learn how to work with it. And I'm willing to work with it. And my question is, I would like to make a motion.
Can I ask a question?
Or ask a question? May I make a motion?
Well, I mean, I just want to make sure that everybody has a chance to ask a question if they want to, and then you can certainly make a motion, Mr. Berry. Does anyone else have a question?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, not to go into all the pros and cons, but the EDC and the EDC as well as the Emerald Coast Fitness Foundation to provide a unique service. I don't want to be misunderstood for not thinking our relationship with the Chamber is currently positive, as well as the partnership that we have through many, many projects is positive, is there. I just won't be supporting the relationship through financially being a grantor to the grantee with the Chamber of Commerce. We can continue to develop the relationship. We can continue to get projects done. They've just been too involved politically the past, really since really 8 years, but 2021 formally, as well as 2024, as well as 2025. And now we're getting to the point of getting a new board and asking them to get the money back. I just struggle with that. So to take the emotions out of it, I wanted to give staff clarity and the board clarity on where my head was at. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else with a question for Mr. Reeves or staff? Seeing none, anyone from the public wish to speak on this item?
I'm Kathy Heapy. I'm treasurer of the Emerald Coast Fitness Foundation. I'm here to make a presentation today, but I guess I'll probably have to come back some other time. But I just wanted you to know that we do very much value receiving that grant from the city. We, this year especially, have a mandate to resurface the pool, and which we'll probably be doing in December, which is going to cost about $75,000. So this money will help with paying for that. And we also, if you don't know, we've recently taken over operation of the ARC pool over on Holmes Boulevard and have opened that up to lots of adaptive swim lessons. And so we are offering, I think it's probably 10 or 11 adaptive swim lesson times every week. And these are basically one-on-one sessions with kids with special needs, primarily autism, but kids with special needs. We're also teaching the swim lessons and in serving the clients at the ARC itself. We're going to have the kids from the children's center that's next door that's for special needs kids. They're going to have a summer camp program there. And I just learned today that the Fort Walton Beach Summer Rec program is going to bring their summer camp kids to the ARC pool for lessons and fun time. Just a funny little story. This past weekend, we had a special event and brought in Cody Miller, who was an Olympic gold medalist, and he stayed in my condo out on Okaloosa Island. He got up, I picked him up Friday night, took him there he woke up at 5 o'clock Saturday morning, went out on the beach, went for a swim, posted on Instagram. He's got a lot of followers that he was in Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and he was on Zillow within 12 hours of being here to look into getting a place here. Just, it just really, he really liked it. They have a place in Fort Lauderdale and his family, but his wife likes the seasons. So, it really appeals to people. And so we want to be able to keep offering this pool facility, or these pool facilities really now, to the city. At one point several years ago, one of the city council members said, if we can have a pool for our citizens for $25,000 a year, that's a bargain. And it still is, because that's all we're asking of you guys. We're managing all the rest ourselves, and it is technically city property. So I just want to let you know that we appreciate the grant, and I've sent you all a letter requesting it, letting us know what we do, and I'm certainly happy to answer any questions if anyone has anything.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, council, do you wish to take any action?
I make a motion that we approve the grants requested here. What is it?
A motion made by Councilwoman DeBerry, seconded by Councilman Merrill to continue on with the fiscal year 2025-26 budgeting for these grants as listed by staff. Any further comments, Ms. DeBerry?
No, I appreciate all that they do. And I know I visit most of them. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Merrill?
Yeah, I think there's pros and cons, people said, but I mean, I sat with, the head of the chamber, and they spoke about all the investments they've made, the relationship that has been longstanding with the city, and then, I think Mr. Jeter said it, I think it far outweighs the cost, the investment that we put into this. I mean, it comes back in so many different ways. You can track it, and then all the ways you can't track it. My kids have learned at the Bernie. That's where we took them for swim lessons. Unfortunately, I can't speak to the one Okaloosa EDC as much, but as Mr. Cheater alluded, what they're doing countywide, I think these investments are going to come back at least tenfold, and that's why we support them.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak on this? Mr. Jeter?
I will definitely be supporting it. I do also like how all this discussion we've had up here in the years past has brought this to light, the amount we're paying to some of these, because they could have been hidden under council's fees for many, many years. So I do like them being on an annual, brought back to us. Are we still in good standings? Are we still going to do this going forward? So I like how they're line item. They're not just lumped into some budget. So I definitely will support it, but I also support doing this every year so that we can make sure we're on the same page and not just you look up 10 years from now and say you've been paying somebody X amount of money and they haven't helped you. So.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak on this? Mr. Walker?
Yeah, I want to clarify for the record, or go on the record that I appreciate all of the agencies and what they do in the community. It's just that the libertarian in me says taking taxpayers' monies to give it to business entities. They're all supported by, I pulled up the pool rates, membership for a family, individual, yearly, monthly, all of the different things. So it's not like our rec center for city members. It's a business, and so I'm not a member there. I don't know, or is anyone else a member? You're a member up there, but the rest of us aren't supporting it with our membership. I'm not a member of the chamber. I don't know who all else is as well, but, you know, we're spending taxpayers' monies when we're not doing it ourselves. That's the libertarian coming out in me. The letter from the chairman of the One Okaloosa EDC, which I didn't know, I had to go look them up as far as where their support comes from. But they do receive an economic development ad valorem tax exemption as well, and that's obviously within the city here. So if someone does come in and they get to throw that out to them as an incentive. And the chamber, I believe, operates similarly. There's a membership, there's a fee, and there's cost, and so it supports itself. And so when they come here and they ask for our taxpayers' dollars, it's like, well, our taxpayers choose not to be a member of your organization. They're not supporting you, but we're forcing them to support them. So I understand that. I mean, I won't be supporting it, but the other thing that it just happened, it came to me today as I was looking at this, and they're going to continue to do it, I have no doubt. The EDC and the chamber and others, those are a lot of private functions. I'm working with several business owners right now. Went and previewed a property today downtown Fort Walton Beach, about 4,000 square foot, looking for a business to locate in that spot. And if I'm successful and it works for the customer, then I'll be compensated for it. And I'm not getting any taxpayers' dollars by me bringing and promoting downtown properties to a business that will be 4,000 square feet, and sales tax that comes along with it, and the employment that comes along with it. And I don't get any compensation from the taxpayer. So for those reasons, in my libertarian mind and heart, I will not be supporting this motion.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Schmidt.
Yes, just to respond to a couple of those things for clarity. That EDC ad valorem exemption was a referendum that was passed by the electorate, and the people voted to get that ad valorem exemption to try to stimulate folks coming into an environment that is low impact on property taxes and those kind of things that the referendum wanted. Fully supportive of EDC as well as the Emerald Coast Fitness Foundation and the unique niche. Mississippi said it best. To have that pool and to have that service and to have that quality of life in an area that it's a safety issue. The amount of kids and the amount of people that are going to be around water, it's very important that they continue to get those trainings, as well as the elderly population that goes there regularly for the mental health aspect of it. Those are some unique things. I won't be supporting the motion just because of what I said before about the Chamber of Commerce side of the house. I just don't feel right about giving taxpayers' dollars to the organization that we have a great relationship with. We're helping build bridges together. We're helping do Around the Mountains together. We're helping do some amazing things. Just the last correspondence we got in this room from them was that email that Mr. Jeter mentioned to Mr. Meade. Then we had some political efforts as well. Now there's a new board, and we're looking for clarification on whether or not to give them their money back. So I struggle with the Chamber of Commerce side, but I'm fully supportive of the other two, but I won't be supporting this motion.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to speak on this? Seeing none, council, please vote. The motion is adopted, 5 votes to 2. That moves us to item 11.3, the implementation of Charter Amendment 3, the limitation on budget increases. Mr. Reeves.
Mayor, we're clearly again looking for some directions. Mr. Jeter's motion from last time, Ms. Kopp is here. She can obviously help kind of guide us through a little bit of what was done at the last meeting. Again, I believe this was a consideration of changing the implementation time frame for the where it becomes actually effective. So this is more of council's direction here than it is staff. And like I said, Ms. Kopp can help with some of the...
It's allowing the approved budget that was already approved to remain in place and implement Charter Amendment 1 and Charter Amendment 3 at the same time of October 2025. What we had to do last time was a motion to consider the rescission. It's my understanding what I need to do this time.
If the council wants to rescind that prior decision, then you already took step one at the last meeting by your motion to consider rescission, and the next step would be to make the motion to rescind that decision.
So I make a motion to rescind the implementation of Charter Amendment 3 as we did on December 17th, 2024.
Second.
So I have a motion made by Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilman Browning to rescind the previous motion that was made on, what was the date again there, Brett?
December 17th, 2024.
December 17th, 2024. Further comment?
Yes, sir.
Anyone else wish to comment on this motion?
Comment or question, right?
Oh, comment. We got a
Because
motion.
Yeah. Did I hear you say, or was it you? I can't recall because it happened so fast, but Charter Amendment 1, this is not a part of that. This is Charter Amendment 3. 1 and 2 are in place, right? We can't pass a fee without a vote of 50% of those by affected, right? I mean, that was Charter Amendment 1 or 2, and the other one was...
I think 2 was the fire fee, 1 was compensation, 3 was budget amendment.
Right, so...
2's in place, never been touched or revisited.
So we're only jostling, 1 and 2 are in place, we're only jostling with 3 as to when...
Well, 1 was put into place of October 2025.
24. And was it October or November? Because are you talking about when the voters passed it, Charter Amendment 1 and 2?
I'm sorry, not in place. When we chose, what option we chose to implement them, which 1 would have been October 2025 for compensation.
Oh, you're talking about option 1, not Charter Amendment 1 and Charter Amendment 2. Charter Amendment 1 and 2 were those 2 other charter amendments that we had. We're not jostling their implementation date on those, are we?
Correct. No.
They're in place.
They're in place.
They went into place right when the vote took place. We've only...
No.
All 3 charter amendments were effective when the vote took place.
Okay.
All 3 charter amendments are effective. What you did was you created a transition period for the one about compensation.
We just created a transition for the compensation. The other ones stayed in place, no transition. They were implemented right then.
But all 3 are effective.
Yeah.
Now you're dealing with Charter Amendment 3, the budget only, and as I understand what Councilmember Jeter wants to do based on our discussions is that he wants to have an implementation plan, potentially a transition period or something, which would come out in a follow-up motion. But you have to do this in steps. So the first thing that you're doing is you're rescinding what was done in December, if that's how council votes. I mean, if the majority doesn't vote for that, then you'll be keeping it the way it is.
Correct.
What was confusing?
Well, I mean, you know, it's hard to tell how it's all going to come out to play because with Charter Amendment 3, the 3% cap, I asked at the next meeting or soon thereafter, when was it effective? It was effective immediately, and then it became, from somewhere, it became the policy that there could be an implementation period somewhere in the future, and I think the motion was made to make the compensation effective the end of September of 2024. Is that correct? I mean, of 2025.
These are council votes. These
Right.
are decisions that the council is making. Nobody else is making them but the council. And on that amendment, the council voted to have a transition period because there were members of the council that took the position with the understanding that there were going to be certain benefits, namely health insurance, that they were going to receive, and they had family members receiving them.
Sure.
And so there was a transition given to the end of the budget year to allow people to look at other options and decide what they were going to do. The charter amendment was always effective, but it's justifiable and reasonable to have a plan for implementation. You can't necessarily snap your fingers and make something so. And if you do, there might be unintended consequences that you don't want. So on that one, that was a council decision to do that. Now with the budget, you know, this is why we've had these conversations with staff. What are the issues that staff is dealing with? Is it something that we can snap our fingers and implement immediately, or does there need to be a transition period? My recommendation, if we were going to have a transition period, was to have benchmarks for when things were going to get accomplished so that everybody in the public could see their vote mattered, the charter amendment's effective, but here are the benchmarks of how it will be implemented. Because there are things like insurance that the city manager talked about that take time to make changes to, and other various things. So if council wants time to implement the charter amendment, I think it's legally justifiable. But, you know, that's based on discussions with staff that you might not all have heard.
Correct. For my 2 cents, you guys have already heard it. You have your updated budgetary where we're at, an update to how this implementation is coming. I agree that we haven't got some grand plan and stairs because it is a very large undertaking. There are a lot of moving pieces. So I think it's the enormity of it is so great that you're at, if we were at 8-9% over in personnel and 16% over in expenses, I think that we clearly would have to have some drastic measures, some hiring freezes, some major cuts. We're not getting any police cars. None of that's going on. I'm just being clear at this point. We are in compliance and have been since the day that you guys passed, not all of you, but that current council passed that, and staff began to implement it. So, the sky is not falling. Are there things that are going to need to be worked with outside the realm of what we can easily handle as staff members? Mr. Davis, myself, our finance director, our staff members. And I'm not saying the time will never come. I don't have any idea. But right now, it is not critical that we go down this road. And if I thought there was a great benefit to doing this, by all means, I would say, you guys move forward. It'd be great. But what are you going to just move it to the end of the fiscal year now? I mean, we've been this long in compliance. It's not going to gain you a lot more money to spend or make it easier on staff. I think the understanding comes when if there is a month where things kind of gotten thrown out of whack in some way, you work with staff to kind of get that back, right that ship again and get it back in place. Like I said, I don't have a lot of input other than we have done everything we can to keep an eye on it. We're here as advisors to you, Ms. Kopp, myself, your charter officer team, Mr. Davis, I know will have a big hand in it. I think we've done a good job with doing that. I don't have a personal stake in it. I just think that I'd like to keep you guys on track from an advisement standpoint. Ms. Kopp, do you have anything else to add to that, what I said?
No, I'm just responding to the council questions.
Right.
And if anyone has other questions, I'll respond to those too. But that's how we got to
So,
Bryce's
Mr. Walker,
motion.
you are good? I mean, I'm not.
I'm very, yeah, just, I mean, as you said, it's very complex. It's a it's biggest part. I mean, I know the bridge is going to be a big part of it too, and then I know we're slow moving. The gentleman came up here and said he's been at it 6 months to get a awning, and we've got a very big financial project here. So as y'all know, I love to know how the clock is built, and right now it's like looking at a brand new object for me to some degree to try to understand what everybody's talking about, why a motion's made to rescind, and those type things. So it's just strategically confusing to me right now what's actually going on. I don't know what the results of it will be. So I'm complex too.
I think you're correct. The only thing that we have to go on is where we are.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we? Where are we financially, and how are we coping with where we are? We're going through the process. That's the only thing that's certain. Tinkering around with this, it's very complex. Like I said, it may require, I don't know what type of a consultant you would hire to help you do an implementation. It really has to come organically from the people that are already kind of sorted out. I just don't know how to advise you.
So Mr. Mayor, on the question, if I'm okay, I was in the middle of reading that discussion based on motion approved at the April 22nd, 25 meeting. Council will consider the rescission of council's previous vote to set implementation of Charter Amendment 3 using the 2024 fiscal year, which passed December 17th of 24. So we're going to be, if it passes, we would be rescinding that vote. So when would the implementation be? At some undetermined point? Okay.
That would be a separate motion then.
Yeah, and so, yeah, that makes sense. Now, that makes a little bit of sense to me. We're removing that. We're just going to operate under the guidelines of the 3% cap. As staff does when they're putting the budget together, they look and see, is this in compliance with all state and federal obligations and requirements on them to come together, and they're going to be looking at that 3%, and does it meet that requirement? So we're not, it's effectively implemented now.
We're going to operate by the approved budget that was already approved prior to this.
And that's what I was curious. Because it's using the 2024 fiscal year, which passed December. I don't understand why we're removing it. It sounds like we're still operating under it. I don't know the point of rescinding it.
I don't think we haven't changed anything fundamentally with the way we're doing the
We have not
spending.
changed anything since the December 17th meeting. Right now, we're just tracking. We haven't changed the budget, but we've been tracking the actuals based on council's decision on December 17th.
So then we're good either way?
I wish I could take more credit, but we have been keeping a close eye on it. I will tell you, we work on it pretty religiously, and it's been one of the most important things I've worked on while I've been here. And fortunately, because we've had some vacancies and stuff like we talked about in the first part of the meeting, the earlier meeting, is how we've been able to maintain kind of where we are.
Strategically or tactically, maybe you can answer then, what is the purpose of rescinding, if it were to be, what is the purpose of rescinding council's previous vote to set implementation? What benefits do we receive, citizens, taxpayers receive, or we as a body, what benefits come out of this action by rescinding it?
I think your question's for the motion maker, right? This isn't my motion.
Sure. Well, it's a staff, there's a staff discussion here.
Well, because you guys voted at the last meeting.
You're talking about the one earlier tonight.
The one where you made the initial motion to, or Bryce made the initial motion to rescind. Council voted for that. Staff has to follow council directives, which is why the agenda item is here. But this didn't originate in staff. It's from Councilmember Jeter's motion, and he probably should answer what he feels the benefits and costs are.
So let's just do this. We do have a motion, we do have a second, we've had some discussion, so everyone's had a chance to speak. Mr. Jeter will give you the final word on this before we vote on this, and you can try to sway anyone that you'd like.
This is simply the second reading of what we did the last meeting, which will give us the chance to make another motion after this on how we implement Charter Amendment 3. It should mirror Charter Amendment 1. That's it.
All right. Everybody good? Council, please vote. The motion is successful and does pass 5-2.
So the additional motion that needs to be made is the adoption of utilizing fiscal year 2025 for Charter Amendment 3, using 24-25 budget year as the base year for implementation of this Charter Amendment.
Second. All right, I have a motion made by Councilman Jeter and seconded by Councilman Browning to, I don't have a copy of that, do I? Thanks, buddy. I still don't see where it is.
Current transition year.
Okay. The motion is to use the current transition year.
Fiscal year
2025, fiscal year 2025 as the base year.
24-25 budget.
Man, I can't do it, man. You gotta just read it again, please.
Woo! We want to utilize fiscal year 2025, the 24-25 budget that was approved to implement Charter Amendment 3.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What he said. Additional comments, Mr. Jeter?
No, I think we will always listen to the voter. We are still implementing these. They are still in effect. We are going to be, I think everybody up here is going to be as fiscally responsible as we can possibly be. If we come in under budget, even better. So none of this will really even affect that.
Gotcha. Anyone else wish to comment on this particular motion? Mr. Walker?
Sure, thank you. I think that does give me some clarity of what the purpose and intent was. So once it was, and correct me if I'm wrong, we previously were using 24's physical, now we're going to use 25's fiscal year budget. So we've bumped down. I mean, it was my understanding, and everybody had their own interpretation of the amendment, but it was my understanding of the charter amendment itself that it was going to look at the previous years, and when it passed in November of 24, that would have been looking at 23s, and now we've taken it to implementation of a transition period that we've called it into 25. I got it. I just needed to verbalize that. I don't really have a question. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Anyone else with a statement? Seeing none, council, please vote. And the motion does pass 5-2. That moves us on to city manager reports. Mr. Reeves.
Thank you, Mayor. Not much tonight. It's been an honor to serve you guys. When I left the council a long time ago, I think I cried on the dais. There will not be a tear shed. I welcome Mr. Davis's participation with this board. Not that I haven't really enjoyed serving you. I will be available now for another week or two with you till he will take over officially on the 2nd. I've tried to do the best job I can in being that buffer for you and allow you the space you needed to hire your new person. It's been an absolute enriching time for me. I guess they say you never quit learning, because I've learned so much. I've really appreciated the relationships that I've made with the staff members, and working with Mrs. Barnes and working with Ms. Neighbors and the rest of them. I can't say enough about how good I think some of them are at their jobs. All of them, that's not one. One of you touched on, I do want to comment on Mr. Pete Peters. If I've done anything that I've kind of dropped the ball on, it is those damn kiosks. And I didn't just jerk them out of the wall myself because I was the interim city manager and I didn't want to really upset the apple cart with some of the staff members. I have a huge pet peeve, and if anybody knows, it's Mr. Jeter. The one over in Development Services is just grates on me. As many of you know in my business, I was the person that walked out front and greeted every customer that walked into my business. And I don't think it's too much to ask our public service to do the same thing. And I'm glad he's had some traction in getting some help over there. It does sound like Mr. Gibson has done a good job helping him out, but we've dropped the ball there, because just because he's here to speak to us, there are other people that are falling through the cracks that are not getting what they need. So I would hope that Mr. Davis would go over there and jerk that one out first, and then walk back right over here, right behind us, to the one that's at the desk right outside of HR, and jerk that one out and throw it out into the yard. Because we have had some staffing issues. We have a desk right there where we have someone that could be manned. Now, we've had some turnover in HR. They kind of did double duty there and greeted people when they came in. I think it's imperative that we have a face there when someone greets us at City Hall. And I hope that Mr. Davis will follow some of this advice. I don't know if I'm making any headway. It doesn't really matter because I won't be here. But I do feel like I hate to hear when people like Mr. Peters come and they've not been served very well, and we've given them the runaround a little bit on stuff. So that is a shortfall. But again, it has been my honor to serve each and every one of you. The new members in particular, any help I could give was given with all my heart, and I'm so glad to have gotten to know you and serve you in that way. The old members, you know how I feel about you. I think the world of all of you. A good discussion and help me to use my mind again. I won't take any more time because we've been there a long time. I thank staff and I thank you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
You were so excited.
Go ahead. Hang on. Let me finish up. We've got some upcoming meetings for you guys, not for me. So I'll be glad to take you out of there. So we've got regular council meeting coming up on June the 10th. Before it is the 4 p.m. downtown design guidelines meeting. Community Redevelopment Agency is the next one on Tuesday, June 24th at 4:30. But before that, we have a is that a third? Is that a Tuesday? Tuesday, June 17th at 4. Boy, you guys are loaded up. So you've got a regular, on June the 10th, you've got a downtown design guidelines meeting, and then after that, you have a regular council meeting. And then you have, on June 17th, you have a budget priorities workshop with Mr. Davis, so you guys can kind of put together what you guys are interested in doing. And then on the 24th of June, you have a community redevelopment agency meeting. And then again, you go back to your regular council meeting on June 24th, and I wouldn't be surprised if something came in that you guys needed to meet on ahead of that one too. But that is it.
Are you guys sure?
I'll send a reminder.
Sure about that date though? That you just read the
Pretty
second?
sure.
No, it's the 15th. That's right, that's on a Wednesday. We changed it to Wednesday.
Okay.
I honestly thought it was
Can't
the
count on
11th.
that clerk. She's just in
The
charge of
11th.
paperwork.
The 11th?
I thought we moved it.
You are right. I'm sorry. It is the 11th. I left mine in there.
It's
I was
okay.
trying to do it from
So Wednesday,
June
June 11th
At 4.
at 4 p.m.
The budget priorities
Right.
workshop, yes.
Just making sure.
Wait a minute, June 11th.
Yeah, Wednesday, June 11th.
What's that? What is that?
That is a budget priorities workshop.
I can't be
Mayor, if you'll allow the finance director to inquire about some of the money that we took in this, well, we haven't taken it in yet, but we did get an approval on
This morning, I was contacted, so the county officially through their meetings approved us to fund $1 million of the LISA project. I talked to Tiffany, she said the whole project should cost maybe about $2.5 million. I was just kind of asking direction from you guys, whether you want us to include that in the 26 budget. I mean, it's exempted from the charter amendment, so we can include it. My suggestion or recommendation would be to wait till we got final numbers in, because we're gonna have to bring it back to you anyways, and if we say it's $2.5 million, but it comes in at 2.7, we're still gonna have to come back to get that extra money from you guys. So it's like, why don't we just do it all at once? So either way, you're spending it here, you're spending it there, to just maybe be through a budget amendment versus in the original budget. So I just kind of want to know if I could get direction from you guys on how you guys wanted me to do that.
Budget amendment.
It sounds like though it's still high priority to get those numbers in, to get.
Yeah, they're working, purchasing, and all of them are working together to get it all rolling.
And when those numbers come in, like you said, amendment.
Yeah, I mean, it could come, I don't, what's the timing?
We're waiting for big quantities. There's just ancillary pages in those bids that, the plans and specs are all done, but in order to get out, like.
I just don't know if it'll make it in time for the final.
So either way, what I'm hearing you say is when the numbers and all those things are in, you're coming back to the board anyway, whether it's in the budget or not. So yeah, I'll do what you recommend, looking for clarity.
Anyone else want to offer some clarity on that?
Well, I have a question.
Sure.
What are we going to do at the budget amendment? What at the Wednesday? What are we?
Well, we can discuss that. I'm not going to be in town then either.
Yeah.
I've got plans myself.
Look, me and Gloria, we're going out of town.
I figured it's one thing all going together. It is a budget priorities meeting. It is about, which we probably can make an arrangement for you to meet individually with maybe Mr. Davis and Ms. Neighbors and kind of put down what you would maybe like, but.
Or you could certainly zoom in. I mean, there's no
Right.
action
There's
going to
several
be
ways you
taken
could
in
come
any
in.
way.
I don't care to zoom in. I've got things. I have priorities.
They're not budget ones.
It's not
These are
budget.
the
It's
city's
not
priorities
budget.
that we're about to meet on. It's strategic planning, but how we're gonna fund our budget based off of these strategic elements. It's a pretty big meeting.
I can't believe you're missing it.
And today,
We'll
in
make
the meeting
up
we
for it.
discussed it today, with
What did we
Mr.
just
Davis
discuss?
and the mayor and Mr. Reeves, they also are going to ask the directors to give like a 5 or 10 minutes, spiel to you all about what their priorities are, what they put in the budget, and if you have questions about that at that time, you can also express the interest that you may have. So that's kind of the plan for it. We really hadn't had budget discussion, especially with the new council members
And the new city manager.
and the new city manager.
Ms. Neighbors, do you feel you've received the guidance that you need?
Yes.
All right. City attorney reports.
I do not have anything, Mayor. Thank you.
What a wonderful evening. Mr. Junior, we start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis. You've done nothing but bring positive energy the last few months in a lot of different areas. So thank you for raising your hand, stepping in. Jason, thank you for raising your hand and being here, ready to go to work. I know you are too, so I'm looking forward to the next chapter. Noise ordinance, do we have an update on that? We're still working on that? You don't have to give me an update, but we didn't drop the ball on it.
No.
We're still working with Chief Beige and getting that going.
Yeah,
Noise ordinance.
yeah.
Okay. And I certainly share our frustration with Mr. Peters earlier. We'll discuss it more, Mr. Jason. We definitely got some work to do, but I know you're ready to go to work, so we'll leave it short tonight. Let's go.
Thank you, Sarah. Mr. Merrill.
Yeah, just a question for Ms. Comp. When it comes to the STR ordinance that we passed and the lady who came in and spoke about some of those issues, how easy would it be? Would it be as simple as a motion to remove the provision requiring the business license, or because that ordinance passed?
No, you can always amend the code, which is when you pass an ordinance, you're amending the code, and the ordinance, just for the new council members, the ordinance gets sent to MuniCode, our online system, and they basically codify what you pass in the ordinance, and then you can see it on the online system. But you can always amend what you've done. You can repeal any ordinance in its entirety, or you can make amendments to only portions.
Okay. Just had a question about that.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Riley.
First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity meeting you, Mr. Reeves. I know I've met with you a couple of times. Could have had a little bit more, but it was a pleasure meeting you, and I've just had an interesting time talking with you, and I think you've done a really good job stepping in, picking up the baton up and running with it. Now you're dropping it off to Mr. Davis. So, Mr. Davis, I look forward to working with you as well. So, thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Riley. Councilman Schmidt?
Yes, also, Dennis, you brought a lot of energy when we needed the energy. We're still in a transitional time, but all of this is reaching towards standard of excellence, for Walton Beach 2.0 that we're always discussing around here. So thank you for bringing some new things that is going to plant some seeds, whether it's in the Park and Recs programming or other things out. You just came in with some creativity that was needed. So I want to thank you for that. Mr. Davis, looking forward to working with you. Also want to kind of piggyback off of what Councilmember Merrill mentioned, just about just customer service and what Mr. Peters in that scope, but kind of zooming out a little bit more where, I appreciate Ms. Kopp and Dennis taking on a lot of the grunt tonight from growth management. But I'm highly disappointed. We have nobody from growth management in here tonight. And we've had two big customer service issues. So I'm trusting in Mr. Davis's leadership to improve that environment, to make sure that, our customer service in all areas, but especially growth management with our Fort Walton Beach 2.0 that we know is coming, that department is going to have to continue to raise the bar. There's no more important professional development, there's no more important training than being here tonight listening to these things. So I'm definitely not the one approving the travel, not approving the travel in the future, but making sure that customer service and this type of culture that we're trying to get to with growth management and with the things that are coming in our way, it's very important that they're here and they pick up on what we're trying to put down. I also want to support the process that we've gotten to this, the progress that we've made. There was a lot of things that the resident mentioned and concerns about the short-term rental, but I fully support what we've done to this point. I mean, I don't want buses and commercials being filmed in our residential neighborhoods, just to be very direct. I don't want to take anybody's personal business away either, so it's a very sensitive issue. But the reason that I support it, I'm only one of 7, but to get it to this point is to try to protect that culture and that environment, especially in our R1s, to really do what opposite of what she mentioned. If we don't put these ordinances in place and there's more of those spaces being able to use to build more micro hotels, we got more commercials and buses being filmed and people pulling up in our residential neighborhoods. It really concerns me. So I'm here just to give clarity to staff as well as the rest of the board. I highly support the process that we've gotten to with that short-term rental ordinance, and thank you, staff, for doing that, and as well as Ms. Kopp and Mr. Dennis. I believe that's it for tonight. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Schmidt. Mr. Walker.
Yeah. Thank you, Dennis. I'm not going to leave with tears. I'll leave with comedy. But before I do, I thank you for the professionalism that you've demonstrated in all of your interactions, discussions, presentations, paperwork, and all. And I can only imagine, you and I have talked personally about how difficult of a job that is, and I know you're, Mr. Davis, I know you're coming into it, but I know you've handled it with outstanding professionalism, and I just thank you for that and everything that you've done, and Amy probably having to put up with you back home as well. But I think you and I go back 30 years.
Pretty long.
Yeah, close to 30 years, and through the years we've grown closer, and I just, the comedy, it'll just be mostly me and you getting this, but I know back when you used to do this, you never expected you would be on the other, hey, Dennis, you never expected you'd be on the other side, did you? All right, well, thank you for everything, and thank you for your guidance.
We know what we're talking about.
Yes, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Walker. Mr. Browning?
Thanks to Dennis for helping with the transition and, hopefully a little bit of work we got done with the beautification stuff moving forward. And I think it means a lot of staff, sticking up for staff like you did tonight, that's awesome. So, and that's coming from ex-staff. And then welcome Mr. Davis, I'm looking forward to it. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Berry?
Yes, Dennis, thank you so much. It was so refreshing to have a city manager be able to talk to that person and get things done and to listen. Even though you may not have liked what I had to say, but at least you listened and we worked with it, and I really, really appreciate that, Dennis. I truly, truly do. And I hope we have the same relationship, and I'll work with you also. Code enforcement, I'm very disappointed that they are not here tonight. And I share your frustrations with what Mr. Peters said. I've been here since 1970. And the last many, many years, especially since what really made it even worse was during COVID when they put those blasted, I want to take every one of those kiosks out and take a hatchet to it. Customer service is so important, even, especially if they come in there and they're really frustrated, to find out why they're frustrated. For me to come to customer service and I would bring people in that didn't have a credit card, didn't have a bank account, they have cash, and they didn't have a car. So I'm driving here to customer service to pay their water bill. And people not paying any attention whatsoever. And I go, we're waiting and waiting and waiting, and even though someone's right there. So I tap on the window, nothing. And they say, oh, well, just put it in the kiosk. And I said, this is cash money. This is cash money. We need a receipt. I got reported on that, let me tell you. So, and the one over there in code enforcement is the same way. I got chewed out over there too. But what I wanted to ask about on another note is code enforcement, like the easement, and they've known that we were going to do this to change the clay, whatever things, into the cement and the stormwater easement between Martisa Road and Bishop off of Jet Drive. They've known that we were going to have to do that. They know that we have an easement there. The people know that they can't build on that easement, their sheds or whatever, and put electricity. But they do it anyway. So what I'm saying, and I've asked for code enforcement to go in there, they've got letters saying, oh, we're going to come in here and put in this new concrete, all that. And I know that Daniel had to have all that heavy equipment, diggers and hatchets and all that, whatever you call it, to rent. And so we stood there, I know, for good, how many weeks, 3 weeks or more, 1 week or whatever, I know it was longer than that because I was over there taking pictures we finally found out who owned that house, and he works offshore for 30 days off and all that. And I sent that in to you, Dennis, and then along with pictures of the sheds and all that. We knew this was coming. If code, and I've been asking code enforcement to please, they drive city cars, use city gas to go home and back and all that. Can they make a different route, and look at the things rather than just what there's on their paper here that they're supposed to go look at to give a permit? Well, it didn't go anywhere. If we could, when we have a big project like that, can we not have code enforcement? I'm about to ask to make a motion here to have code enforcement come in there a month before to inspect what's going on, and work with the people to get it taken care of, to get their sheds out of there, and work with us. I know that people think, well, that's their property. I had to explain to my daughter, and she lives in a very nice neighborhood, whenever they're putting in those underlying fiber optic things and they're tearing up her yard and all that. And I go, oh, I hate to tell you, that's an easement. That's not all your property. Your property is up to the sidewalk. Well, why am I paying the lawn people to take care of it? A lot of people need education of what is truly their property. Like the guy says, get the survey out and see what you have, and what you can put on that easement and what you can't. So I'd like to make a motion that code enforcement is sent out there before you put on these big projects and inspect the place, and get
Second.
Thank you.
Motion made by Councilwoman DeBerry, seconded by Councilman Schmidt, that before you put on a big project, code enforcement get out there and inspect the place. Any further comments, Ms. DeBerry?
No, that's it.
Nailed it.
Councilman Schmidt, Mr. Jeter.
Always support more code enforcement. Thank you.
Especially big projects. All right.
Big projects, especially.
Council, please vote.
Like the big ones. Oh, gosh. Yes, no, let's not find tonight.
Okay, I clicked on it.
That's right.
And the motion does carry unanimously. Well done, Ms. DeBerry. Any further comments, ma'am? Or are you good? All right, Mr. Jeter, one last.
Yeah, we've talked about it. It's been kicked the last 3 or 4 meetings. We've talked about it a lot tonight. I would just like to make sure my one agenda item on the next meeting get put on for TrackMan for the golf course, that Jacob and TrackMan come present and finally give us what he's been trying to do for 3 meetings now.
Good for that. All right, I just wanted to add one last thing before we go. I sincerely do appreciate all of the police officers that were involved in keeping the Billy Bowlegs situation under control. Being out at the festival this year more than I've ever been in my entire life, and getting to kind of see all of the inner workings of everybody that puts that on, it's pretty incredible. Not only are there a number of police officers there at the park on both Friday and Saturday, but there's somebody watching the park and making sure that no one's messing with anything that's a sponsor's thing. And then obviously the increased police presence at the parade, through the parade route. It's just always great to see so many officers out there. I also wanted to give a shout out to Ms. Corcoran. Friday, I'm leaving the venue. Ms. Corcoran herself is there cleaning up trash, moving trash cans around, like doing the actual labor work, not just pointing at people and saying, you do this, you do that. But we knew she was a good one, so it was just nice to see her caught in her own environment, like doing all the nice stuff. Wouldn't let me help with anything, of course, but she was just fantastic. Everybody out there was really nice. Thought it was a nice event overall. The turnout was really, really good. In talking to a lot of the people that had been at some of the events in years past, it seemed like they were impressed with the amount of people that participated. So really nice festival. Big shout to our Parks Department and Police Department for all y'all do every day, but it's especially noticeable on weekends like that. So thank you. And we are adjourned.